Um, Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back to another Thursday night paint and stream. Yes, an hour late. I was hanging. El, you were over there too. I was hanging out with Bloodworth, my DM on Tuesday nights in a Castles and Crusade game, and we were doing a recap of the game. Hey, what's up, Hungar? Everybody, round of applause for Hungar getting the hell out of the hospital. No more. That was it. No more hospitals for a whole year. Yeah, I figured out how to do the schedule thing. I had never seen that button before, or just
I figured out how to do the schedule thing.
Hey, Brian.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm trying to get it. There we go.
Noob.
I know, right? And I did I scheduled it. I said 6:05, and I might have been 30, 45 seconds late, but it would have been later had I went down and had a cigarette. And trust me, I could really use one right now. I hope everybody's doing great. Had a great Christmas. Got lots of miniatures from Santa Claus to paint, or at least some cool books, or if not, a nice bottle, to make up for it.
So where was the R-rated version of your opening?
Vaporella's right here. I'm already working.
Yeah, sorry in the background.
Vaporella's right there.
Cool.
I was reading some Vaporella today, one of my favorite comic books of all time. The art is just stunning. And it's not like the TNA guys. I was looking at the faces. Because it's black and white art, it's just
is that was that Colin or who did the art? It wasn't Jesco. Jesco doesn't do black and white.
No. I forget. I was trying to remember because I knew somebody was going to ask me. I was reading the Cult of Chaos or something. Vampirella actually has words, and the dialogue is not the best, but sometimes it's really, really good. But the artwork, when it comes to the faces and the subtlety and making everybody actually look real and different, it's not like Marvel where every guy looks like Reed Richards with or without the eye patch kind of thing. It's just stunning. And so I had Brian here produce me Vampirella so I could paint and make Jackie cringe because he just doesn't get it. But
he will.
Hustler has articles. I wouldn't.
Yeah, they do.
No. Yeah, I know. Well, I remember some stuff from Playboy, but Hustler not so much.
That was my man, yeah. Hustler.
I'm going to bring Owen in here, even though he doesn't have anything to paint.
He doesn't fucking do nothing. Owen, this is a hobby. You gotta do something hobbyish.
Oh, hey, speaking of hobbyish, guys, I got something really cool. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Check this out. You guys know RPG Elite, right?
I know of him.
I met him over on Max's channel. Actually, I met him, but I was already actually watching his channel. But I won a prize from him, like a random giveaway. I hadn't seen his show like in about a month. And there goes Omen. But he sent me. Come on, where is it? Have I really got that many emails since yesterday? I hope I didn't accidentally delete it. That would suck ass.
You can just go to your trash folder and get it.
Yeah. Except my trash folder would be absolutely chock full of trash.
It'll be on top.
Well, no, because I have I've deleted a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Here we go. It's something called. Nope, that's not it. What the hell? Oh, here it is. Congratulations. I won shit. Okay, here it is. Pro Fantasy Software Fractal Terrains number 3.
The hell's that?
So what she's won is campaign cartographer, which is what I have right here, which is this right here.
I literally had nothing to do that, and now I do. And Jackie and I will both be able to make worlds from scratch. Which I was actually asking him to see if he could help me out with my D&D world that I'm going to be running, because I just got a graph paper.
Yeah, I was about to say, what happened to graph paper and pencils?
Oh, that's how I designed it. That's how I drew it. But with this, I could do some other sneaky stuff, do elevation, and just a lot of stuff with it that I.
Well, just for Brian here, it's look, it can do all sorts of stuff. Campaign cartographers. The problem is it has a steep learning curve. Wonder Draft, I think, is a little bit better for initially, but I've been playing with it a little bit over the week, and I followed the instructions. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this up. But like I said, that's kind of what I did, just as an example.
Well, El, we actually have a computer downstairs. Jackie's computer is actually a pretty nice one, and I'm pretty sure we can put it there. I was thinking about putting it on the laptop, but this is supposed to be just for the channel, not even for my RPG stuff. There's some stuff on there, but I'm trying to keep this as new and fresh and minty as possible. But Brian, I've already primered all the stuff you gave me except the little Hungars and Hungars worshippers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about the drama between any of the folks out there.
Damn, what is with all the fucking drama?
Well, you know what? Just ignore it.
I know.
Yeah, just
I don't even know what's
why
going
don't you
on.
bring it in? Just ignore
drama
it.
sells.
Yeah.
Drama brings views. Drama brings clicks and views and all that crap. RPG Elite racked up like 14,000 subscribers in a year.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, and some of that is when he was complaining about, why aren't blacks playing art tabletop role playing games?
Is that
of course,
the black
no one
guy?
wants to mention.
Yes.
What's that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've watched him a couple times.
Yeah, I've watched
He's got a great amount of enthusiasm. He's opinionated. He just so happens to be a
guy
Christian.
too, isn't he?
Yes,
Comic
he
guy?
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I look at every relationship as a one-on-one. How are you and I, friends, frenemies, enemies, acquaintances, whatever. And there's folks out there that don't want to get along or want to take one little slight or comment or even belief or theory and just make them out to be an absolute villain because they have.
He's an older guy though.
He's our age. Yeah, he's like our age. Yeah, it's all.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. He's been really nice to Jackie and I. He actually made a video for us specifically, which we're nobody, but he realized we had a lot in common, and we don't agree on everything. I love Dungeons and Dragons. You guys know that, but he don't. Does that mean we can't be friends? No.
Then Lord of the Rings,
and he had some good points about black people not playing the hobby or playing the games. They're out there, but it's just not as there's just not as many. The same could be said for Latinos. I know firsthand that there's nobody in Jackie's family that gets what we do except Jackie.
Yeah,
He
but that's
gets
not fair because no one in my family gets what I do either. So
right,
it's,
right. But with them, it's a poverty issue and the lack of the ability to dedicate time to a luxury hobby.
Well, that's one thing I've always wondered is like, you don't hear a lot of like, you don't see a lot of like African, like gaming channels and shit. You don't, because they probably just don't have it. You know what I mean? They don't have,
Israel. That's awesome.
they don't have
what though?
a GW market down there to play 40K. So it's just, they're not exposed to it. So they have to,
What do you mean, Mac? You can comment on anything you want. Last time I checked, we still had a modicum of free speech. If you have an opinion, and you want to state it, feel free, brother.
Where is my automatic, generation?
But a lot of folks in the world just don't have the time or the luxury or the money or the introduction to something like this. We've been blessed with this hobby, and it's been out there for a while. But
some of it is translations. That's the like El mentioned Brazil. Yeah, Brazil's pretty big, but Brazil has 200 million people in it. You have to get a certain economic value for it, and you can't expect someone that's making $500 to $600 a month or less to where they haven't translated in their language.
Welcome to the show, Nathan.
Here's the thing with RPG Elite said, and this is absolutely true, was that the educational system has been very low for a lot of, and let's be honest, when you do a role-playing game, most role-playing games require a high level of math and a high level of reading.
I wouldn't say it's high level. My math is crap, but it got better because of D&D. I mean, high school, I barely, by the skin of my teeth, passed geometry, which was the bare minimum to graduate high school.
So my son just got through Algebra 1, and they considered him at 12th grade math. That's people. The number of people
I don't know what that is.
Well, that's my point.
That's how bad my math is. I mean, I know what algebra is, but
that's the point. Is that really when you start looking at it, is if you get a lot of cities and stuff where you have poor education, and I've also seen statistics when it talks about lower class white families read more to their children than middle class black families, and that's not the way
Brian,
it used to be.
You got a comment here.
So,
Nathan wants you to visit the quantum.
Yeah, dude. I need to, man. The thing is, the reason I would go to your show is like Shadow. You guys start your show at like midnight, dude, and I'm like old.
Yeah.
Well, he starts at 10. I think he starts at 10 if you don't come up with Shadow stuff. If you look at Nathan,
my show and his show, we're overlapping at the end.
Yeah. But I'll check it out, dude. I need to.
He's a great guy. He's one of my best friends in the whole wide world, and
El likes to stir the shit.
Well, you know what though? Guess what? No one cares. That's the whole thing. Why do you care what other people are doing when you talk about being better in your game? That's why I always hate this drama. It doesn't make the games better. It doesn't make anything. Here, let me go tell someone else that plays the game that I don't play on how to play the game. I'm like, no, go away.
But I agree, Mac. One of the things I'm going to be doing this year is helping youngsters get into the hobby. I'm helping Jackie's group, encouraging them and opening up the house so that they can come in and play and, ordering pizzas and, providing the munchies. Because it's not just about getting Jackie to play, but I want these other kids who all seem like really decent kids, a nice mix of weirdos, one of the kids shows up in a black robe to my door. One of the girls shows up in a big witch hat, and just what one of the girls showed up with her baby Yoda plushie. It was just like a bunch of weirdos, and I was just loving it. I want them to have the same kind of experience we did. And that's one of the things I'm going to do. I'm also going to be taking you guys' advice. I'm going to talk to the local libraries, of which there are 2, see if we can do get a game night going, even if I'm unable to go, as well as there's a game shop that I discovered. We're going to be doing a tour of the shop sometime during the vacation. Yeah, it's two separate storefronts. Hold on, James, I'll get you here in just a second. Want to hit this rant, and I want to go over there and sponsor a game night there, and obviously self-serving for the channel. Not gonna lie, but at the same time, I want to get all those guys who I know don't know about this channel, and all your channels, and get them to hey, there's all kinds of resources out there. Not just us, but YouTube in general. I'm sure they watch Critical Role and all that. But they
I've watched that once. It was fucking boring and stupid. But
okay,
well, you know what? It
Only
was
seen it
fine
once.
when it was honest. It was fine. It's when it started becoming this when it became a produced show more than what it was.
I like
That's where it
Critical
lost it.
Role. I like Critical Role because it's got chicks on it that like make out as part of their character arc.
I have not seen that, but that's
If you haven't seen that,
You
if you
sit at the
haven't
wrong
seen that, then
table,
you've been
dude.
watching the wrong Critical Roles, my friend. Hey Brian, I got a bone to pick with you.
oh
you know how
shit!
hard- Do you know how hard your channel is to find? You need to like
Dude.
put some of that like Zoomer hashtag stuff in there to like make it
Shit.
easier to find.
Well, you know what? I
Yeah.
guess I need to, in the like labels that ask you to label yourself. I need to stop putting big titties and
You know what?
Your
You know
stuff
what?
is so
like
hard
that.
to find. Your stuff is so hard to find, and it's got to be like the way that you're earmarking it, because there's nothing in there that's bad.
Brian,
You know what I
I'm
mean?
gonna
It's all
show you a
wholesome.
tip later after the show.
It's
I'm
all
gonna show you a
wholesome
tip.
wargaming stuff.
I'm going to
Yeah.
show you a tip that
You know?
will help you out because I bet you're not using it. Okay. Do you have
Yeah.
YouTube Studio?
yeah.
Do you put in tags?
Yeah. Like I put like Weird World War II, miniature wargaming, and then like
World War II and all that stuff,
World
really?
War II, and
Oh
like,
man, that makes such a big difference for me.
titties,
Okay, then you're
exploding
officially shadow
prisons,
banned. You must be officially
fast
shadow banned.
cars.
Okay, real quick, James. I want
Mm.
you, if you don't mind, I want you to run your idea about what you're going to do with the guys. What do you
Oh
think?
yeah, sure. Like I don't have many guys to play with like that I know who are into wargaming, right? And it's a bit of a hard sell. Like I can play board games and RPGs and stuff with my girlfriend, but anything above a fantasy skirmish, she's not going to enjoy it, right? But I was like, what if I set up my table, live stream a battle, have a camera from above and a camera like for close shots, and I just live stream the battle and you guys in the chat can be like the other general.
Hell yeah, dude.
It doesn't
I've done-
really require
done
you
that
to know the
before.
rules it doesn't really require you to know the rules inside out. It doesn't require you to paint anything. It doesn't require you to bring anything. It just requires you to turn up and be patient and polite and like work together.
And stay
but-
for the whole game.
Yeah, and stay for the best part of the game. Like if you want to hand it over to like someone else because you've been wounded by grape shot, you need to go to the bathroom. That's fine. Like, you know.
Yeah, I'm down.
So the general idea is like I want to like because I love watching battle reports. That's like basically
Yeah.
my TV. That's my TV, right?
My
Like,
jam right there.
you know, so even like people playing role playing games, I watch a bit, especially when they're making out, guys. So
The
You know,
problem
like-
that I have with most battle reports is that they're not well edited.
would you like one that's like I will edit it a bit after the fact, but like live streaming it, you guys can actually participate, and I actually have
Sure.
someone to play against then. But
What-
the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
thing
dude.
is like
Sounds good.
I'm gonna drop some like funny stuff in there in the edit, like crossing over to the ESPN Sports Desk and doing like a halftime report with an orc and stuff like that. So, you know,
Hell yeah. That's
Right.
what I do.
Are you
It's
gonna do
gonna
like
be-
Waterloo, where each of us
It'll
gets to play a
be-
general?
it's not going to be so dry that you like won't enjoy it, and I'll pick a rule set that's like pretty simple and universal for whatever I'm doing that is probably like publicly available, so you can skim it before you join. But I don't want to make people feel like it's about that. As
Oh, hey,
much as
Dispenser, what's up,
spectacle.
buddy? I got your package.
know.
Thank you.
I'll just try and play along with the book, but like, you don't need to worry about the book. I'll play something like 1 hour war games where the PDF is floating around, for eternity.
You just need to set it up so you can play like the Battle of Waterloo, and everyone plays a different general, and it's all played in
Oh,
and
maybe
then-
in like
15
6
millimeter.
mil. How much room do you think I have? I'm a 28 mil
mil.
guy.
Wait,
Six
wait,
mil
wait,
would
wait,
do
wait.
it.
If I ever
Jake-
do Napoleonics, it'll be like a skirmish, or like 12 guys represents a regiment, or 16 guys represents a regiment, because
Wait a
it
minute,
just gets crazy.
James L.
Just gets
How big is
crazy
your
otherwise.
yard? How big is your yard?
It's not bad. I just hosed it, which is why I'm late. Sorry about
No,
that.
no. My whole point is as big as your yard determines on how big your game is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my-
maybe. I don't want a giant lizard running off with like Marshall Ney or something like that.
Well,
you know?
you know what? Well, it's a kind of a fantasy, Waterloo.
Davoo has been taken by a rare species of Australian owl. We didn't really factor this in.
Fucking crows coming down,
Yeah.
grabbing
Yeah.
your money and shit.
What's
Marshall
the role
Davoo
for
has
giant
exited the
crows?
battlefield on an owl.
That's exactly right.
Because
What is the rule for giant crows?
Because I painted his coat in mouse grey and I wasn't thinking.
That's right.
Mm.
All right. Let's
What's
see.
the
No,
okay? So
the
dispenser.
play area will be like 3x4 or 4x4. As
What does
the good Lord
dispenser? What's this
intended.
show do?
Pardon?
He's a friend of mine from 28 millimeter RPGs, Traveler Games. Yeah, he sent me. Let me just show it off. Yeah, right.
I can't. Shadow's going to end up like his obituary is going to say being crushed by a tsunami of miniature wargaming miniatures.
You know what? It's going to be like
He
one of those
makes my
hoarders.
collection. He
It's
makes
gonna be
my
one of those-
collection look small and amateurish.
Oh no, dude. Most of my collection. The what do you think, guys? It's a Dreamcatcher.
Okay.
Probably
I don't
hang
know what
that
that
up.
Yeah, I
is.
have one of those. I have one of those growing in my pants. It's more
Wait,
of a
wait, wait.
nightmare catcher.
Damn, what the hell?
Most of my collection, believe it or not, or the pride of my collection, is ancient lead 25 millimeter miniatures from back in the 70s and 80s. Stuff that I'm never going to touch. I just collect.
I got lots of nipple piercing miniatures. So
You
That's
gotta
covered.
put some paint. You gotta put some paint on those guys, Shadow.
They
so they
are.
last a bit. They last a bit longer. Those.
Yeah, I know, but
Drew, you need to seal that
Well,
with those lead ones, man.
I know. What I'm going to do is probably either just give them a clear coat so the metal
Yeah,
shows.
hit him with dull coat. I love that stuff. I eat it every day.
Yeah. What kind of dull coat do you use?
Dull
Uh,
coat,
just like
actual dull
Krylon.
coat.
What kind? What brand?
Dull
Yeah, like-
coat brand, like the
Dull
actual
coat,
brand
dull
dull
coat.
coat.
Okay.
The actual dull coat. Test is dull coat.
Okay, well, that's the testers. They're stopped. They've
Yeah.
discontinued that. You know that, right?
They did, but
Yes.
I have a man
Okay.
that I see about such things. The most amazing one
Well, share the wealth, bro.
are the art brand ones like Windsor and Newton. Like that's like in the spray can. Windsor and Newton spray can is like, yeah, that's the stuff. Very little frosting. I was disappointed in the Vallejo mat. Army Painter mat is actually very good. Like,
I have the army painters like the like out of the bottle. That's really good. If you need to touch up stuff, this is really
Really,
good.
I've got a couple
Yeah.
of bottles, but I don't have.
Yeah.
But after you do like a spray, like with your spray, sometimes you
Actually,
miss those undersides. You just get a brush and just do a little dab, and it's covered.
totally.
Totally tubular.
Yeah, who made that? Spencer? Was that you, your wife? Something like that?
It was his wife.
And Spencer, I do believe it's almost time to play some Traveler. Rick promises we'd be playing It's the beginning of the year. It's almost the beginning of the year. I want to see what happened to my legs if I can find them.
Yeah,
my-
start playing
time.
some-
It's
My
time to
character has
make
legs
sci-fi
blown off.
journey.
Yeah, my legs got blown off.
Yeah, you can grow some new ones. It's Traveler.
Right. That's what I'm
Yeah.
figuring.
You
Or
guys
I'll
need
just
to
get
start
some
playing-
magic
You guys
legs
need
like
to start
Lieutenant
playing
Dan.
some weird World War II. Screw you guys have played a million fucking games of Traveler and D&D and all that shit. You guys haven't played shit for Weird World War II.
Well, yeah, there's a reason.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I hear you.
Well,
Hey,
so-
I'm playing Lieutenant Dan. That's right. Hold on, Brian. I got something specifically. Hold on, if I can freaking find it. Here it is.
I couldn't find that Chinese
I got
wargaming
this
guy at all.
specifically
Brian.
for Weird World War II. What do you think? You heard of it?
What is it?
Mm.
Amazing
Amazing
Adventures.
Adventures.
Dude, okay, guys. First thing, okay, listen. First thing, you don't have to buy a Weird World War II or Pulp any rule system. Just use whatever rule system you like and just modify it.
Yeah,
We know.
okay, I'm going to use D&D. No, and I'm not going to use Traveler. No.
Why
I
don't
mean,
you
I
use
could.
Traveler? Traveler
I
would probably
could.
work.
I could, but I want more of a pulpy feel. Traveler, you get hit, you're dead. You know what I mean?
Well, that's
I
That's
true.
want,
pretty
That's true.
realistic.
yeah, I don't want realistic. I want
Oh,
freaking.
okay.
I want jetpacks. I want freaking walkers. I
But
want.
I mean, you can just do that with your advanced Dungeons and Dragons you love so much. Instead of like a magic missile, that's a fucking auto cannon or some shit. Just modify it, man. You don't have to go buy any
it's a
rules.
lot more work. I've done that because when I was a kid, I wanted to play Star Wars. Didn't have the Star Wars RPG. Didn't know there was such a thing. And I went through the player's handbook and stuff like that and played a Star Wars game with it.
Yeah,
It was a lot of freaking work.
sure.
You could
But
do
once
it.
it's
You could
done,
do it with something.
done.
You could do it with something very broad, like Hordes of the Things, or like GURPS, or something like that. But
Or-
This game here is a
Roar.
it's a Castles and Crusades. I believe they made the game as well, and it uses the same engine and the same rules. Specific character sheets for your various archetypes of World War II. The fighter pilot, the pulp investigator, that sort of thing. So that's exactly what I want. I want to, for my Nazi
Yeah, I
dynasty
gotta-
cults of Antarctica.
I got a misprint. I ordered Pulp Alley, but I got Plup Alley. I don't know what happened there.
Swamp Valley.
Plup Alley. Yeah, they screwed it up.
Yeah.
We played.
I have a couple of pulp games that would probably work with World War II, but I don't like this. I don't like this Silver Surfer mentality of like just modify the rules, man. Just
Modify
become
the-
a communist,
I swear to God,
man.
Save your money. Just the system
lose
that
a
you
game
love.
of- Just lose a
modify
game
it.
of poker. Just lose a game of poker and get breast implants as a bet, man. Like it's just you're out of control. I like having a rule set because like everybody can just go, oh well, there it is.
I actually only paid $15 for this book, brand new, including shipping. That's nothing. For me, it's a small price to pay.
I got Nuts has some recommendations for Weird World War II, doesn't it? In the compendium. You were involved with that somehow, weren't you? You've like contributed to Nuts, haven't you, Brian?
Yeah, Nuts and Achtung Cthulhu. I'm in the rule books of that too.
Yeah.
Really, really.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
published. I haven't been published, but I've been like my name's in various rule books throughout the industry.
It just
It's
says
like,
Brian.
You're holding out on us? Oh my god!
I mean, I don't really. I mean, it's cool.
I mean,
They call-
nothing-
it's funny because Modithia says Brian Weird World War II Cottrell. Yeah.
Nuts
That's
is a good
awesome.
Nuts is a good rule set if you want to play skirmish World War II games, nice and detailed.
Dude, if that was me, I would be telling people about that every time I did a video. Seriously.
I'm picking up
I
on a
don't-
theme here. I'm picking up on a theme because his channel is really hard to find too. He's hiding his light under a bushel.
I mean, weird World War II is weird WWII. That's it. I mean, I don't know what else.
I think you need to put something in there like, I don't know, like Ariana Grande.
I do.
ISIS.
No problem, Spencer. I will see you. Hopefully I'll see you next
Nicer.
Sunday, but actually hopefully before then. Hit me up on Discord and we'll chat. Hey, welcome to the show, nerds. How you doing?
I should put like Donald Trump. That's a firebrand. Everybody will come and see what the hell, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's got voluminous hair.
But if you,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can look. I don't know if you guys can look at at the tags. I don't know if you could see that, but
Yeah,
I
you
do
can,
in most of my videos. I put an outlandish tag in there, like "Cop Car on Fire."
Do you ever
Or-
feel like the options?
Flaying
you
a
ever feel like
12-year-old or some shit.
Do you ever
That's
feel the
awesome.
options that they give you like a pretty average, like
Oh,
Trump v Biden is like kind of like not that great a selection.
you know what? If you're going to do that, then why don't you just play a kaiju game and just pit the two against each other? You know,
I've got rules for kaiju, but I mean, I just haven't got to the in my.
If they had a fight, Trump would definitely win. He's got way more kind of like.
well. Here's the thing that I look at is if you remember the old Godzilla that shut off missiles out of its mouth in like 1980, that
Mhm.
you know, you just put that on Brian's table when he has all of his little minis out there, and it's like, all right, you get to fight Godzilla. You know, you have to use his entire floor plan as he's trying to as it's stopping, you know, whatever city that you pick out.
Give it the stat line of like 4 Tiger tanks. There you go.
That's it.
Doesn't it? Oh, that's nothing. You don't give it
You go
Tiger
to my,
tanks.
if you guys go to my blog, weirdworldwar2.com. I got a 20-year-old blog on that thing. Anyway, I got a battle report where King Kong's fighting Nazis, Cthulhu's fighting Nazis. It's fucking great. I've done all that shit.
And it depends on what, you know, which King Kong you're using. Are you using the 1930s? Are you using like the Skull Island version?
The
you know, which is even
smaller
bigger.
King Kong, not the fucking massive King Kong. It's the smaller one.
Oh yeah,
Someone should do
with biplanes.
like,
It has, you know, he does World War II, but Weird World War I is more of the thing that I think needs to be there. Not this World War
Listen,
II.
right now, there's a new. This is the thing. There's a new game system out called Pagan War or some shit like that. It's a
yeah.
a Weird World War One, right? But all of a sudden, everybody's like, "Oh my god!" Because I think it's published by Osprey's wargaming side or whatever the fuck.
Really?
So
Mhm.
everybody's like, "Oh, this is amazing!" Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, dude, I've been doing this for fucking like 20 fucking years. I mean, where you been? The
Well,
fuck?
weird World War One is interesting, but I quite like it's kind of getting into like almost Victorian sci-fi. Like,
Well,
you go a little
exactly.
bit
That's the
further
whole
back.
point. Is you can
I
bring in
I like
everything.
that.
You
I
got
like
tanks.
Victorian.
You
I
got
like Victorian sci-fi.
biplanes. You know, none of this. None of this. I got a P-51 Mustang. No, you got to go biplane all
You
the
got
way.
biplanes in World War One and World War II, dude. It's just early war.
That's
What do
my
you
whole
think,
point. Yeah, but there's no P-51 Mustang. Is my point. It's all
Well-
powered by, you know, like Flintstone power.
Sweet. Gar. It's like
I'm
it's
calling
a-
this one done.
It's quite threatening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Jackie
I
got
I don't
a
know. I
phone
would
for
just
Christmas.
play when it comes to World War. Like, I would just play it straight because I think it's interesting enough. But
Well, listen,
it's a good
when you-
setting. It's a good setting for like branching off into sci-fi because it's a mixture of high tech and low tech, and there's a lot at stake, and there's
Well,
a
it's
lot
like-
of like interesting rumors about like Nazi and Soviet experiments. So there's stuff
Sure.
to build on there. There's like all
I mean, you
there's
can
stuff
do
you can
every
use
guy-
there.
every genre that you can think of can fit in any weird war situation.
Absolutely.
Sci-fi.
I
Or-
think a 17th century. I think a 17th century, like an English Civil War setting with like real witches and stuff like that would
Yeah.
be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's not
know.
hard to do. Just open your eyes. Just do something different.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to pull out all your.
I always
your
wanted
game shit.
I always
play it
wanted
in
someone
your-
What,
to
Al?
do I always wanted someone to do like elf miniatures, but with more of a Jacobite style, like with muskets and like kilts and stuff. Like,
You know what? I think I actually have one. I need to pull it out. I've got an elf that is holding a rifle.
mhm.
Okay, a weird looking, primitive looking rifle, but he's got a nub on his back for a shield, and it
Uh-huh.
perfectly fit like a Games Workshop. The shield that had the hole in the center to put the nub through. You know what I'm talking about?
I used to have like 6mm wood elf handgunners, which is like the most obscure like fantasy. It's like you really drilling
I've
deep
seen
into the nerdy. I just use them as like shooters in hordes of the thing, so it makes no difference. But like I kind of feel like some people really hate Renaissance elements in their fantasy and they like keeping it kind of Dark Ages. But I'm like, if you go earlier into the ancient period, there's a lot of richness that could be used for fantasy. And if you go later into the Renaissance and then into the horse and musket era, you can have
I've already
vampire-
gone past all that, James.
You can have
most-
vampire cults and
That's like the
everything.
Flame of the Fire Princess or whatever the fuck. They're stuck in like I think what 1500s, 1400s or some shit.
Well,
But
you know what?
Even
Is Warhammer?
Warhammer Fantasy,
Yeah.
even Warhammer Fantasy is very like more kind of the Italian wars and like later, like kind of start of the Renaissance warfare.
And
with,
then
like,
if you look at the
gunpowder.
old the Pistoliers and the Outriders, I think it was for
Mhm.
Warhammer Fantasy, or at least the war game. They had these guys with gigantic freaking revolvers,
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
that's at least cartridge era technology.
Mhm.
Give me duckbill. I love the duckbill. Firearms. The problem is that firearms were also, as early as the 1200s. It's just people, where they used to shoot arrows out using gunpowder.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's more of a siege. It's more of a siege thing, and it's kind of experimental, and it's like hand cannon pretty much up until about 1400, and then it starts to really take off. Around the era of like Ravenna, like kind of early Italian wars, that's when it really started to come into its own.
Most of my fantasy worlds evolved past that to where they're obviously stuck in the Wild West sort of technological era, as well as a lot of the styles, because I found a lot of the clothing from the West could actually work with my fantasy games. I had it to where the dwarves discovered black powder, they're alchemists or whatever, and they started using dynamite for digging, and eventually they created the musket, went beyond the musket to where I'm safely stuck at revolvers and lever action rifles. I'm not going into the semi-auto thing yet.
So you're Civil War.
Even as
About
late as
Civil War.
then,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
as late as like the early 20th century, like even World War I era, troops who were armed in a kind of more, proper like breech loading
Exactly.
rifle or cartridge based way, were still coming across like mailed horsemen with bows in certain parts of the world, like Africa and Asia, and it's like crazy to think that like those different tech levels have clashed throughout history all the time,
And I
so
also
you're not even
had
stuck.
I also had this
anyway.
cool thing with the dwarves with since they we're all familiar with the mine cart rails in dungeons, for the dwarves, moving their.
Yeah.
So I went to the steam engine underground, so they got the equivalent of like dwarven subways and things like that, as well as remember you were showing me in Firefight with the Ratman and those tunnelers. Why not steam powered tunnelers for the dwarves to when they whether it's siege warfare or just trying to get through a big chunk of area to build another grand hall, they've got these steam powered grinders just digging through the.
Well, I think dwarves should always be like a little bit techno. You know what I mean? They should always have a little bit of an edge. That's the
Never
the
played a
dwarven
minute of
thing.
Warcraft. Mac. Never played.
Well,
Vanilla.
well, you know the whole point.
I
of a
love
lot
I
of
love
this is-
Warcraft. I like the old one anyway.
yeah, but
I like edited all
but
the sounds and the maps and
that was supposed to be Warcraft was supposed to be Warhammer, and then they dropped it, and then they just created their own thing from there.
Mhm.
So people forget a lot about that stuff. Is just it's like, okay, what was it going for?
I liked the original one until it was like an online RPG. Then I was like, that seems like
Well-
a terrible time sink.
Yeah, but
Well,
there's
Jane-
different Warcraft 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
Not the World of Warcraft, which was different.
yeah,
but
yeah.
Warcraft
When it
3
was still a strategy game, it was kind of fun because you could play it.
Oh,
for-
you know what? I
So,
actually
like,
played
leave
a
it
little
alone.
bit of it. I played a little bit of Warcraft when it was on, like, I think it was the Game Boy or something like
Mhm.
that. Orcs versus humans. When it was a strategy game, and that was about as far as I ever got with Warcraft.
I'm a bit wary of computer games because I feel like they suck up a lot of time. Like,
Oh yeah,
Of
you
course
know, I
they
feel
do.
like the hobby. I feel like the wargaming hobby. It's like, yeah, it's a big commitment and it can be frustrating sometimes, but like the payoff is bigger. Like. Whereas like computer games can really suck up like, days.
uh-huh.
Yeah, so James, I'll reciprocate your game. You can sit in and we'll play a Weird World War II, so you can see what it's like.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got like German werewolf soldiers and
I got
like
'em.
Soviet,
You want
Soviet
females
zombies, like
or
that
males?
conflict 47 type thing. I think someone should make a miniatures of the Phantom. That would be fun to throw like some soup
Yeah,
in
there's
there. Because I never
you know,
play those sorts of
What's up,
games.
Cal?
I'd never play a superhero. I'd never go to the trouble of like putting together a superhero game myself. But I'd love to play one.
Yeah, dude.
You know,
You can play Captain America and Bucky, or you can play.
I don't
Human
know. I
Torch
don't
and
know
Goro.
crap about any of them. Like, I'll just be like, "This is Captain Iran."
Yeah,
And he's really
What's-
sullen
what's-
cab
what's
driver. He's a really
interesting-
sullen cab driver with a loud shirt.
if you play Iran during like a Weird World War II, you could be fighting the Brits
Mhm.
or the Germans.
Well, my favorite World War II theater is like North Africa. Like,
Yeah.
I just love that era. Especially early when the tanks are still kind of crummy and they're
Like-
kind of trying to adjust to each
Yeah,
other.
Pre-Montgomery,
Like they just become really efficient killing machines by the end of the war, and I'm like less interested in that. I like them when they're kind of goofy, like one man Italian tanks zipping around.
yeah.
Hey, what's up, Bear?
Bear
It's
Cal, what's
like
up, buddy?
fascist Mario Kart.
So what are you working on there, Brian?
I'm actually doing scenery lately. I got a bunch of like Asian kind of like hovels that I've been because I'm in China right now and I need some more scenery for that era.
I really want some boxes. I'd love to do Boxer Rebellion.
Oh wow, you're going
Why
like
don't you just play
World War
I mean,
One.
Yeah, I mean, why don't you just play shit? You got World War II stuff, don't you? Just play early China.
I was talking to Shadow about this the other day. I have like quite a few World War II board games, so I've never really gotten into the tabletop side of it yet. I have some 1 to 35th Tamiya's like kicking
Yeah,
around
that's huge.
that I could use for like a very small skirmish game, but like I don't know. I just kind of was initially put off by the idea of painting like drab for like 100 figures or something like that. You know
You
what I
don't do
mean?
that.
Like,
You just what is you go over this where World War One. You go paint your you get with the submarines and you paint them in the what was that called that weird camouflage that they had that was super colorful.
yeah. There are kind of three things that are interesting around that period. There's the Flames of War World War One box, which is coming back. And like you say, the camo schemes for that can be quite interesting. And then the Flames of War Cold War box is quite interesting.
You
And I
know,
really like the look of their Tobruk box. I do have one tabletop World War
that
II game,
rule
which is
system
like the.
sucks, dude. Have you ever played it? It fucking sucks.
No, I don't think it sucks. I
It
just think
fucking
it's
sucks.
more
You
like
got tanks lined
it's
up
more
in a
like
fucking
a-
row. It's ridiculous. Stupid.
it's abstract. It's abstract. That's what wargaming
Yeah,
requires.
you just yeah.
So
Treat
here
yourself
you
better.
go, James.
Treat
I
yourself
think,
better.
Vassal
I think
camouflage.
Flames of War. I think if you're happy with a kind of top trumps approach to wargaming, and you're okay with simplicity, and you just want a box of cheap tanks, I think Flames of War is great. Personally,
Okay, so let me rebuttal against that. It's overpriced. Rule
no
system
way.
is foolish. Okay. And it's another big buy-in, man. I mean,
Are
don't get
you,
me
one
wrong.
are you one of those guys who thinks bolt action sucks because it's not realistic, or
No, I
are
mean,
you kind of cool with it?
bolt action is very entry level. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fun. That's what I want. Like the thing
Very
is,
entry-level.
if I want to go
Start
super
somewhere.
deep and granular, like I have hex and counter games that can take days to play, and I'll play them on my own. But if I want to play a tabletop game, I only want it to go for a couple of hours max. You know what I mean? Like I'm
But,
putting
I mean,
all this time into painting these
I know
dudes and making the bits and bobs.
So you're
I
listen.
just
You're
want
a
to get
war
it going,
gamer.
man.
You're a war gamer. You love miniatures. You love how it looks on the table. Look at a Flames of War battle. It looks fucking stupid. You got platoons of tanks touching each other's fenders across the fucking board, especially the damn the Cold War. You got a battalion of fucking T-72s. It's across the board.
You should be playing
Doesn't
1
work
in
that
1200. This 28mm
Well,
crap you guys
I mean-
are playing is completely stupid for this stuff. It should be 1 in 1200. You know.
Well,
and
Flames of War is-
just
I don't want
just
to
for
see-
James.
I don't want to play
James should be
division
painting
level.
all of his
Omen.
ships
I
dazzle
don't want to play division
camouflage.
level. I want to play platoon
Dazzle
level.
Flames-
camouflage.
Flames of War is 15 mil, which is like a little bit more practical for that kind of thing. But
Okay, and I give you that.
I think the thing
why
is,
the
once
game-
you've got those
Whoa.
models, you can do whatever you want with them. Like, you know,
Sure. But the
Dazzle
mechanics themselves
camouflage
don't
just
allow
for you,
you
James. So
fucking
you can
You
get
gotta
all
let
the
each other
pretty
talk,
paint.
guys. You gotta let each other talk.
Anyway, all I'm saying is treat yourself better. Find a better system than that. Just because it's
I'm-
what's on the shelf.
I'm Catholic. All I know is suffering and guilt.
You're the wrong type of Catholic. I had
Oh
none
my
of
God,
that.
No,
there's so
I'm-
much out there, though.
I still do the wine, women, and song, but then I feel bad about it after.
Come on, James. You should be painting ships. You should be painting these little men. You should be
I
painting
do have-
ships with the
I
dazzle
do have
camouflage.
I do have one World War II naval game, the Victory at Sea one. I haven't busted that open yet. That's
Is that the one you showed me
Japan
last
versus-
night?
Yeah, that's Japan versus the US. I'm a bit afraid of the like little rigging. Like I don't want to screw it up. You know. But
Yeah, that looked like something I could get into.
yeah, well, it's one box. I like things that are like eventually you kind of like expand, but you know, I like it because it's just one box and you can play it straight away.
I've tried it all. I've played all that shit. I played Adeptus Titanicus, fucking Epic. I played all that shit. I played it all.
The funny thing is, I could really react to what you're saying, Brian, but like the truth is, when I read Pikeman's Lament and I see them using pikes in a skirmish game, I have similar disgust. So like,
Thank you.
you know, I'm like, why would you bring a pike to a skirmish? Like ever?
Well, you know, that's why you have halberds. You know, you're supposed to be fighting
Yeah.
as Swiss do on the
No one's
mountain
carrying
sides.
an 18-foot stick unless they're surrounded by like 100 other guys with 18-foot sticks.
Well,
You
no,
know,
no.
no
Go,
one's
go, go,
dragging
go
that
look
to
at
the
the Swiss
skirmish.
battles.
That's just going to give away your position.
Hold it. No. Go look at the Swiss battles when they're fighting in, you know, the passes. You don't need a lot of troops there.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like playing
yeah, I
300.
mean, maybe
you
in
don't
a-
have to play
maybe
a
in a
lot.
city fight, maybe in a kind of city fight where you're like defending a bottleneck, like at a fence posts or something like that, perhaps. But no one's taken 12 skirmishers in a unit. That's pathetic. I want 36 at least.
You shouldn't be playing 1-to-1. It should be 1 in 10. So each of them represents 10 figures.
At that level,
I don't
I'm just
even.
gonna play a
I
counter
keep
a
that.
video
I keep
game.
that deliberately vague. I keep it all deliberately vague anyway. If you want to visualize a skirmish game is happening, fine. If you
Okay,
want
I got
to
a
like
question
take
for
it
you.
as,
Okay,
if you want to take it as like, oh, these one man represents 100, fine. It's your fantasy, baby. I'm just there to provide the battlefield.
so here's a question for you guys. Do you guys? What was I gonna fucking say? I forget it. Okay. Oh no, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, I remember. I'm old. I forget
I'm
shit.
terrible.
Are you guys WYSIWYG players? Because I'm
No.
pretty WYSIWYG.
No,
Up
no,
to a
because I
point.
actually want to have for
Exactly.
or stupid, well, they do this. Well, I don't see a grenade on them. You know what?
Well, I'm not talking at that level, but I'm talking about weapons. Carrying weapons.
I as
that
long
kind of
as they're clearly identified, which can be simple things as having a different base and it's clearly identified. I mean, in an ideal world, yes, but let's be honest. As I get older, I'm a cheaper and cheaper bastard, even though I have more disposable income.
Do
I
a
want to play a
multi-base
damn
of
game
a
that
dish.
feels like a real game.
Do a multi-base of like a dish running away with a spoon. Like, just use household items.
You're like in my rules, it's like if you WYSIWYG up to the point where a quick visual like sight. If you can't
I'm
see,
just
like you
saying
can't see a binocular or a fucking entrenching tool or some shit like that, but you would see like an MG42 or a rocket launcher or some shit.
Yeah, I'm not going to give heavy weapons to guys that are obviously armed with light weapons, but that's about where I draw the distinction.
Well,
Here's
It's the
another
same.
thing. Do you guys disclose your fucking army lists to your enemy? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Come up with a point value. There you go. You don't tell each other what they fucking got. That's ridiculous.
You shouldn't be doing a point value. Point values are stupid in the first place.
I fucking hate point values, but I'm just saying you should just come up with the size of your armies that you're playing, and that's it. You don't tell everybody what you got. That's ridiculous.
I got an even more controversial take. Like, if you really want to trigger asymmetrical battle, you should roll for your army.
I like asymmetrical, and I also want to make sure that it actually meets the. If you're going to be playing like a realistic game, that the units seem to be comprised of realistic numbers of units for their type.
Sure.
I don't want to see.
Yeah, I mean, like
a TO&E
when I
that's
think
relatively
skirmish,
accurate.
when I think skirmish, I think a platoon or two platoons. So I think about 30 to 60 guys.
Platoon skirmish for me would be platoon level.
It should be
Yeah.
squad and with no larger than one platoon. The problem is that as the companies want to make more money, they get more and more without really making the
And I
battlefield
want
any
more
larger.
legions.
Yeah.
I want more troops on the table as
Well,
well.
you-
Yeah, I don't know the
you
max
know,
would go for that. No.
Well, then you should get a bigger table is the problem, but they don't want to do that. Yeah, I agree with nerd there. WYSIWYG when practical. But the other point is if I want to play sometimes, it's like, look, guys, I don't have a tiger. Okay, get the damn tiger. Well, just count
That's
each one.
different. I mean,
Yeah.
if you are like don't own it, but you want to play it, say this Panzer III is actually a fucking King Tiger, and that's like, okay, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
if you
at all.
don't own it,
can't
print out a paper mini or like like I'm okay with standees if you can't afford to wargame
Okay.
and the basing convention is more or less the same. That's fine. Or
I'm-
you could do what MJ's Hobby Corner does with the mesh armies. He literally cuts like
I'm-
upholstery mesh or whatever into like blocks of troops, and the way
Yeah,
he
we
paints
call it
them,
granny
Yeah.
grading. You know what that is,
Okay.
right, Brian?
So
It looks
I'm going to
great.
bring this up. Do you guys use true line of sight or do you do abstract line of sight?
True
So
line of
you-
sight
I hate
to
true
the
line
base,
of sight.
to the base,
Oh,
to the figure's
I-
base.
See, I hate true line of sight whenever it's going to come looking through like trees and stuff because you can never
Why?
get them thick enough or things like that.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I mean, you would say like this crop of trees is actually a light wood
Yes.
or
yes.
something different. But if you have single trees, that ain't gonna block shit.
Well, yeah, but I don't like the
In
true
terms of
one-to-one aspect
terrain-
anyway.
in terms of terrain, I think more about the footprint. And if your base sizes are the same, I do corner to corner line of sight. If your base sizes are different, you just measure from the center of the unit. So I just think about the footprint of the wood rather than like how many trees are in it or whatever. Like,
See, this is what I'm
Well,
talking
see, the
We're
problem that I
getting
have with
my
it is
fucking shit.
even the
War
big
gaming.
the miniature bases alter. And this is the other thing. If you can do skirmish, there should not be more than a total of 4 tanks on the table. It should be 1 platoon,
Yeah, one
not a
platoon,
company.
max.
4 tanks is
Yeah.
pretty hardcore. Like, I would be wetting myself seeing that in a platoon.
Have you ever
It's
played
engagement. It's not
Like,
bad.
are you talking about the game or just
No, I
tanks in
mean
general?
just like encountering that many tanks in
Yeah.
a skirmish. That's pretty good. Like, that's not bad.
Well,
I mean,
see,
most even a larger battle game, like I'm pushing to like play bigger games of Ancients, but even then, I'm only going to be doing like 100 figures aside. Like, there has to be a practical limit, otherwise it gets crazy. You know what I mean?
I try to limit myself to platoon level, just platoon
Mhm.
level.
yeah, platoon is more fun anyway. Otherwise, you really should be using. I mean, how big of an
When
area
you're
is it supposed to be
using,
Using bigger. Yeah.
When you're using firearms that have got like, you know, a half a kilometer effective range, absolutely. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and that's another thing that the ranges for a lot of these game systems are so fucking ridiculous. I mean, all these weapons
Yeah,
off
well,
the fucking table.
Warhammer, you got to be honest, like Warhammer is really more like a Dark Ages raid
It
with
is.
laser
Well,
guns,
well,
right?
we're-
Like, and that's cool. I enjoy that. Like, I have fun with that. So, like, whatever, you know.
if you actually
But
look at
I
what
do
Warhammer,
sometimes look at a bolt gun, and I'm like, surely that would be like more range than a modern rifle.
it is. It's a 240 inch range if you play Rogue Trader.
Yeah.
Mhm. Did
It's
you
on
buy
board.
that book? Did you get the new one? Because I'm interested.
No. I'm talking about the original. If you look at the
Mhm.
original, it says if you shoot past it's 24 inches, then at
It's just
that
a
point it
modifier,
can shoot
yeah.
up to 10 times longer, but you have to roll like a 6 and then you have to roll even further. The other thing that people forget about is, you know, we abstract a lot of stuff anyway, which is
I live
the
in
average-
Texas.
the average person only shoots, what is it, 100 meters was the average, and it was 1 in 10,000 bullets to kill. Unless you get in the modern era, which 1 in 250,000 bullets, because you know we're so much better at killing nowadays than we were back in the times of Kenai. You know, what was the battle of Kenai? 80,000 is, you know, 40 to 80,000 died in an afternoon, and nowadays they're talking like, you know.
With ancient battles, like, you got to kind of like take a grain of salt with the numbers. It's like if you read about the Greco-Persian War, you'd think that the whole world was there. Like, I think they probably add a 0.
No. I mean, if you look at a lot of these, go look at the Battle of Antietam. How many died and how many casualties did they have? And then go look at the modern battles nowadays that are like go look at Ukraine and Russia. The casualties are far lower. And it's because the tactics are completely different. You don't have people
And
standing
the weapons
shoulder
are
to
more
shoulder.
lethal too.
What's that?
Right. I mean, the weapons are more lethal, but our you know, our ability to save our troops are better too. Like,
No. Casualties are wounded, so it doesn't
Oh, well,
include
that's
that.
true. That's true.
You know, so
I'd
talking
rather
about-
be dealing with I'd rather be dealing with like dudes on horses than like drones, to be honest with you, especially if I was wounded. But at the same time, maybe it's also an effect of like modern warfare, as I understand it, because it's really not my area, is more about smaller specialist groups.
modern warfare
creating
is also
pockets in
spread.
the enemy.
Modern
creating
warfare is
pockets in the
way
enemy
spread out
forces.
too. It's way
Yeah,
spread
yeah.
out.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
that's
the
the other
ranges
point.
are massive. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
say, yeah, but I mean,
Whereas,
like
like,
about
you go
Kenai,
further back, you've got to actually concentrate the army to, like, you
Yeah.
know, really punch through. Like,
well, Gettysburg and Antietam. I mean, you look at those casualties, and then you go even like to World War One. Most of the time, we didn't get those casualties in a day. You know, that's what. But that said, is that there was constant battles. So the Battle of Somme, which
Like a
took what
fungus.
6 months. That was a whole different. You know, so it adds up to more over time. But what was the Edo period? The Edo period had huge battles too. I mean, it was the.
my uncle was really trying to talk that down. I have Japanese family, and I was talking to him about it, and he was kind of amused because he's like, weird boo. But like he was like, yeah, there's a lot of skirmishing, but it's not like everybody died every time. He's like, a lot of it was like almost kind of like nightly show ponying and like challenges and single combats and cattle raids and
well, that is true. But I mean, but if you're shooting, a lot of times is you don't hit. A lot of times, even like what was it? The average was 10,000 shots during the Civil War, and then
Yeah,
it
muskets
wasn't.
that shit range. That's why you clumped everybody
Napoleonic,
together.
Yeah,
Napoleonics, it's even more pronounced. Like people have always asked me, why do they stand together like that? I'm like, it's the safest place to be on a battlefield full of horses. Like, you know.
well, and who wants to play the actual?
I didn't know that either, Mac.
Is I like the campaign aspect, which is, guess what? You know what the biggest problem with your soldiers has nothing to do with the battle. You lose like 2/3 of your soldiers before they even get into battle. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mac, the Eritrean war is crazy because it's basically been a trench war. Like, it kind of turned into that. Like,
I'm going to mention this much as we talk about that. Look at what the Hutus did to the Tutsis, and we're talking with just machetes. It's
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
So
Machete?
yeah, or Shelley Struthers. but that's
no,
what
I
people
changed.
forget about.
That's not my stage name anymore. Brian came up with my new stage name. It's Sharon Husbands.
Really? I was thinking of something else, but I guess that'll work.
Everybody's like spat out their chewing tobacco. They're like, God damn it.
Bitches, get a rope.
I remember you.
The Tigray tribe. Yeah, they were sending each other memes and it escalated.
Oh yeah,
Send it always.
Yeah.
Someone said something about
It's
their
like a
mom,
good
and
sci-fi.
it was fucking war.
It's a good sci-fi scenario, like an alien invasion, because they misinterpreted like some signal or TV show or something. They're like really offended. They're like, we got to deal with this human menace. They literally take dogs shopping.
But that's the problem that I have with a lot of it is when we're going through it, is like, oh, you hit. Well, that counts as one shot. I went, man, if you look at the, what's the average range of a firefight in the United States? It's under 21 feet, and 40% within 8 feet.
One page rules is rather good because it kind of skips the whole to hit to wound. It goes from to hit to a saving throw, which is like much more expedient when you're dealing with like squads and squads of dudes. But I think when gamers talk about chance and probability, and when they talk about like the tendency of the dice to do this or that, it's like they're not wrong, but they don't factor in the chaos factor, like, and the randomness factor. You can say that a dice might tend a certain way, or that a table might tend a certain way, or that a stat line might tend a certain way. But like the whole reason we do it is still because of that random element, right?
That's why we roll the dice, yeah.
Yeah. You like to get the kind of probabilities that gamers talk about, you have to roll a die like 100 times. To really get the spread that they're talking about.
Well, that adds up. If you're
playing
a lot, you're rolling a lot, it will.
It does add up. It does add up. You will have some pattern recognition.
We were talking about Mac and I were talking about critical hits earlier, and that was a big deal. With Bloodworth's crit and fumble rules that he uses for CNC. You've got a 1 in 20 for a fumble or a crit. Actually, it's 1 in 10 because it's 1 for a fumble, but 19 or 20 on a crit. I think. You in a good party of adventurers. You go in a room. There's 10 goblins. Okay, there's 20 rolls there. You go into another room, another 10. There's 20 more rolls there. By the end of the night, you know, in a first level dungeon, you're going to see some fumbles and some crits. And those
At the same time, you've played games against people who've like brought armies or like monsters or whatever, and you've thought, oh, holy heck, my character's going to get skewered or I'm going to get flattened. And you just watch this poor bugger roll bad die after bad die, and you're like, I don't know, it's not your night, man. Like, I'll buy you a drink, dude.
I was playing this one game with the guys.
Yeah.
And the whole night he couldn't roll over like a 6 on a 20. He was just like getting, you know, perturbed, let's say. You know,
because if it was that predictable, you wouldn't be playing if there wasn't still an element of the chaos. There's more chaos and more spread in random number generation than people realize. There are a lot of repeats, but you wouldn't do it if it was completely predictable.
Thank God we're not using chits in a cup to pull out our 1 to 20s. You know, remember those days?
No. I remember the post ones where they gave you the crappiest die that wasn't even flat edge. They didn't even have flat edges on them. They were kind of indented with the cheapest plastic, and you had to get the crayon which came with it.
Yep, and then the dice would crack after about a month. You know, they chip, and you're still using them. I still have some dice.
The Warlord
I didn't have
dice
that problem, but
there,
again, I wasn't rolling on super hard surfaces either.
The Warlord dice that you get in their starter sets are a little bit light in the loafers. You're like, what's this made out of? Cheese?
All right, I'm getting kind of frustrated by this one. Let's see.
Bruce uses rigged dice, I'm sure. Actually, L, I don't think it's that at all. I think he knows how to roll dice, if you know what I'm saying. I've seen people at crap tables. I've seen people, you know, when that's what you do for a living, so to speak, you can roll the numbers you want if you hold them right and you throw them the same way and you practice. It's just like darts. Throwing darts at a dartboard, you know, you get all those minute muscle movements down and you get what you want.
I've been gaming for 40
I won't
years, and I have never been able to throw the dice the same way to get like a wanted result.
I promise I won't fiddle with the numbers with my light battle.
No, Al, I just think he knows how to roll that big 20.
Because I don't care if I win or lose. I'm just more interested in like what's the story. Like,
okay,
how did the story shake out.
So my favorite is one of this. You have to roll in a cup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, I'm rolling my big 20 die in a cup. Good luck. You know,
Interesting.
Tell me how random that is.
Yeah, I mean, chit pool can be good for like if there's information on the chit, but if it's just in lieu of rolling a dice, that kind of sucks.
Well, it's not. I want it random enough. I don't care if it's 1 or 2% off. I know that Brian was talking about it. What I don't want is everything that's like, oh, look, it rolls a 6 5 out of 6 times.
Yeah,
okay. That's
yeah. I had some dice like that, but they actually only had like 5s and 6s on them. I'm not even joking. I found him in my dad's stuff, and he had this set of 4 6-sided dice, and it had a divider. Here's the regular dice, and then here's the more or less loaded dice. I'm like, what's up with that, Dad?
I was such a nerd, and I couldn't afford fancy dice, so I made character generators in Quick Basic. Like you type in like what you wanted to be, and it would like
hey James,
come up with your stats.
Hey James, did you ever play XCOM?
No, but I hear really good things about it, and there's meant to be like a good board game of it as well. From what I understand.
No. This is for anyone that's ever played XCOM. 98% chance of hitting, and you always miss. Like, wait a minute. Elsie, like 98%, and you're just like screaming, "Why did I miss this damn thing?" And it happens all the time. It's like there's a glitch in there for whatever reason. It's
playing
not like
cards. Playing cards are a good thing to use as well, especially if you're using smaller minis, because they can actually be good for like use the short edge and the long edge as like range finders and like measuring sticks if you want.
You know what I haven't heard is from Bo when I got him those.
You haven't heard from
Yeah.
Bo either. I reached out to him today. I haven't heard
Yeah, I
from him.
think Game
Well-
Science does.
well, no,
I
I
think
got
Game
Bo
Science does
the,
lie, Mac.
the
I think
Conan.
it's more of a spread.
The Conan. They have a picture of the Conan, different drawings by Frank Frazetta.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Now he can't play with his young children, but that's okay. It's-
Yeah, I got a picture of him and his family, a Christmas
Yeah.
card.
So did I. Good looking family.
I got
Yeah,
a
but
slab.
I
for
haven't heard
Christmas.
much from him. His new job is really taking some getting used to, I guess.
I thought he was bored.
Really?
Now, to be fair, well, that's what he was talking about, is going through all of the normal stuff. But the other part is that this is the time of year where it's kind of slow, and this is, who knows when what he's taking off for leave. But I mean, he's working
Yeah,
for the
Mac-
government. It's not like it's it's the VA.
Mac, I think it's way more random than people realize.
Which one?
Because the number generation, because we've all had those days where we just can't have a win.
I
Yeah.
don't think it's as random, because the problem is when you get the seed. Is I wanted, though, that there are getting better random generators out there, but that was one thing that always bugged me. Is that's the one thing I do agree with Brian about, is when I wanted the random generator, be the random generator, damn it.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just another thing. Like, you got to have your phone or computer to roll your dice now. Oh shit!
Oh, that's cool.
We just rolled on the table.
You know what?
has
I'm okay
Brian,
with it.
That's put me off. That's put me off like 3-4 different games where the minis look cool and the game look cool, but they're like, and use the app. I'm like, no.
Yeah, see, that's another thing. It's like when you buy a board game that has fucking apps attached to it for you to play it, dude,
Yeah.
don't buy it, because those fucking apps will be gone someday. It's not like forever. That app's going to be accessible.
Unless
you
it's
know?
like a universal binary and you can install it on your little Linux box in the back of the house or something. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
a board game is a board game. It's all supposed to be all inclusive in this little box, and you play it instead of now you got apps and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was kind of bummed when I saw that for Hero Quest. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Mm.
You know what?
For Hero
I'm okay with the app as long as it's not required.
Yeah.
I mean,
if it's additional,
From what
that's
I
fine.
understand,
Yeah.
From what I understand, the Hero Quest app will play as the DM for you, which is cool.
Yeah.
But it's like, how long is it going to be around?
Exactly.
Like,
I mean,
Right,
that
right.
shit's not
And
going to always be up. Like
This
there's
is one
this
reason
great
why
game
we-
called U-Boat. It is fantastic. It's an awesome game, but you have to have the app, because when you when you look through the Periscope, the app shows you what you see. So
I mean, with
mechanics don't allow any other way. So
Mhm. With making music, like I was using a lot of iPad apps for as synth modules, because they had great plugins for it, great drum machine plugins, great effects plugins. You could plug in a guitar and have a really good amp rig simulated, but the support for it is just terrible. And eventually you end up buying the gear that you want because you're like, well, they can't take it away from me. You know?
Yeah.
it's like physical media. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you got all your shit on your computer, all your
Yeah.
awesome movies, and your computer blows.
You can be incredibly creative. You can be incredibly creative with music software or editing software of various kinds, and do all kinds of amazing things, and really make things your own. But then you get hit with an OS update, and then you're like, why didn't I just buy the hardware version of whatever this is and leave it completely disconnected from the web?
I mean, it's like, in the 80s when all those board games came out with the VHS, and then it was the fucking DVD or whatever it was. But let's say you play those great, Dungeon, whatever it was. It had a VHS tape. It was awesome. The really bad acting and the effects, but it was great. Who has a fucking VHS player anymore?
To be fair, there are certain forms of German cinema that are better on VHS. You know what I mean, Brian?
You mean Dutch? You mean the Dutch? they're the wacky ones. They're the Dutch. Who'd have thought?
Well, I was talking to a friend of mine who's Swedish, and like he kind of said the same thing about the Danes. He's like, I mean, we're a pretty open society. I mean, we're not like the Danes, but you know,
Dutch, Dane, it's all twisted. It's good stuff though, fun stuff. I mean, you
He's
talking
like,
about
"We're
that.
wild,
I
but we're
enjoy
not-
watching
we're not
those old
Danish-
ones
we're
because they're
not
fun.
Danish
They're like
wild."
movies. They're like movies. I enjoy that shit.
Okay, bud.
I think there are probably so many programs now that will like inject that VHS flavor to your digital video that it's not
Yeah.
even.
Like the filters and all that shit. Yeah.
Well. Let's not forget the role playing game where you went over and you kind of like you choose your own adventure and you got to select in the old DVD with the CDs.
Yep.
And,
Well, I was having a faux argument with Justin last time about how the more a rule set is like written on typewriter and has like a cardboard cover, the better it is.
Yeah. I mean,
You know.
Yeah, I've got some great ones. I'm looking at all my old games, looking for new inspiration and what's the likelihood I'm going to play this game from 1979, made by a company nobody's ever heard of, and they made like 400 copies of the game and that's it.
I
It's like,
heard Modiphius did a war game, like a tabletop like fantasy war game, and they put the units that you need on cardboard in the back of the packet. I'm very curious about that.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about it.
who's doing the dishes?
it's my son. He's putting
okay.
stuff away. Don't you know I have magic powers?
I wasn't sure who was like kicking the dishes or something.
That's why that's the point of having children is to make them wage slaves. It's,
Rewatch the Doctor Who Christmas special, so I didn't have to. And
Yes.
she said they basically copied the like Labyrinth. She was like, it's like they took the theme of Labyrinth and like made it into a Doctor Who episode. And I'm like, okay,
Really? Huh.
yeah,
I gave up on Doctor Who a long time ago.
Same here.
yeah. I'm a like old schooly. The set has to wobble. Like the monsters have to
Yeah,
have
see the
like
dippers. Yeah.
cheap slime, and like all the space faring guys have to be wearing like parts of historical costume from the like wardrobe, like you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
there's one episode where all the spacemen have like South African accents, and that was like a deliberate choice. They're like, well, it could be a different iteration of English that becomes
It's true
popular.
that they
Oh,
learned
good job.
from a South African source, right?
Yeah, something along those lines. I was like, that's quite creative for like 1972.
My favorite cheesy one. It was a Doctor Who episode. I forget. It was Pertwee, and he had that weird, funky car. The really car.
Yeah.
And I forget who the really cute blonde girl was that hung out with him. Real skinny, cute little girl. And they had this. She had this device, right? It was like a radar, like a personal radar dish, right?
Yeah.
And you can see her hand under it, pulling the trigger mechanism to make it spin. Yes. The only one
Sparks
top,
came out of it.
that would have been bad. But the next one was, I think it was I'm pretty sure it was Doctor Who. No, it wasn't even Doctor Who. I think it was Blake 7. And they had this device. Someone had gotten wounded in his arm, right? And they had this medical device that was literally an old ink blotter, if you guys remember those. And she ran it over his arm to magically make the blood go away. But as she pulled it away, you could see that it was an ink blotter, and all the red was on the ink blotter. I'm just like, oh my god, this is the best. I mean, that was
great.
genius. It was genius,
Yeah.
you know. But they unfortunately it was a white ink blotter, like brand new, so you couldn't help but see the blood all sucked up onto the sponge or whatever it was. I'm just like, oh my god, this is the best.
That's funny.
I love stuff like that, and I'm expecting to see stuff like that when I'm watching a UFO for the first time. But I only made it through an episode and a half before I fell asleep.
Dude,
Well,
hell.
I've never been a huge fan of Johnny Depp, but I do quite like Ed Wood. And if you have the DVD, they have Plan 9 on the second DVD. It's quite low budget, but you get into it. It's like the crappiness forces you to suspend your disbelief.
And that's fine, for some of it.
It's not even good.
Yeah, I haven't
shit.
seen
It's
I haven't
just
seen a
shit.
Shauna video in a long time.
Shauna, there's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Nice. Very good, Sir Alec Guinness.
Grr.
He's like, wait, I was doing Bruce Willis.
You know what?
No,
I
it
like
was-
OG.
If it
OG
was going to be Sir Alec Guinness, it would be more verbal and rounded.
I'm in
Of
a game
course-
with OG.
Of course, I
GM,
know
guys.
him. Of course, I know him. He's me.
He is awesome. As an RPGer, he says some of the funniest stuff. When I'm gaming with him, I don't really watch his channel much. I probably should, because I've gamed with him like half a dozen different games, not just like a D&D game. I was in a superhero game with him, with Bloodworth as well, and that kind of petered out, which bothered me to no end because I was having a blast. But
Were people playing guitar?
no, he was playing a Hobbit bard, as a matter of fact. And his voice when he does the character is so good. So I'm gonna have to go like watch his shows just so I can see if that's like his natural talking voice. Yeah, Shauner's not well, guys. It's that simple. And if you have to dig up like an old video of mine or somebody else's to rag on me, you really spending way too much time. I mean, you could just go back to last week and find something stupid I said or did. It's really, you really shouldn't have to.
For about 15
know,
minutes.
The
Right,
other
right.
thing is like
Hell, give me
everybody
10
has
minutes, I'll come up with something. you know.
everybody has their own take on gaming, and like it'd be good to be able to try every take once. But everybody has their favorites, you know what I mean,
Sure.
and their favorite approaches.
Yeah, he said something about me a while ago, calling me, a crap role player, and
God.
he was using one of the Table Breakers episodes that I was in, where there's 6 guys in an hour and a half, not even about an hour and a half worth of gaming, right? Waiting my turn, doing the thing, and to be honest, it could have been in a game I wasn't enjoying to begin with, because it was like like a new game I'd never played before. I just got through spending 10 hours to make a character, only to get to play it for 2 hours between 2 night sessions, knowing I was never going to play it again. Don't expect me bringing my A game to a game like that.
I think the best role player is like reasonably familiar with the rules and reasonably engaged, and every other aspect is like completely subjective.
Yeah,
As long as you're like paying some attention and like politeness, and you're involved, and you like take your turn and then let other people have their turn, like, and you kind of are like as familiar with the rules as can be expected. Like, do it however the hell you want. Do it in like jump out of a birthday cake, like to announce your character if you want. I don't care. Everything else is like completely up to you. Play reasonably close to the game that you're allegedly playing, and like just pay attention. That's it.
Hey,
the rest is
James, I gotta
however
ask.
you want to do it.
Is the birthday, the girl jumping out of the birthday cake, is that still a thing in Australia? Because I swear I have not seen that shtick.
It's more well, things are cheap and cheerful here, so it's more like a large
Cheap
can
and
of dog
cheerful.
food.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's like chunks of like
It's a
beef and
Foster's
jelly
can.
flying everywhere. Yeah, it's a can. It's funny because like Australians don't drink Fosters, but
Really?
when you're overseas, it's like quite reasonable. Like you're like, actually, this beer is not that bad. Like, yeah, Australians generally don't drink it. It's kind of an export beer. Australians drink Victoria Bitter, which is like muddy water. It's awful. Personally, I like Little Creatures Pilsner, made in Western Australia. Yeah, that's right. I got that nostalgic thirst on right now. Sponsorship deals, anybody?
You got kids, James?
No, I wish I did.
Was that Matt?
Those are just some that have escaped from my basement. Hillary was supposed to be picking them up at lunchtime, but she's late. She's certainly not showering.
Yeah, he told me crap. And yet, I'm still in Rick's game and other games. I'm not going to be, great every single second of it, unless I'm playing with Rick, because that's what's, that's the social contract we all agreed to, was to play a certain way. I'm okay with that. Go check out the Traveler games if you care. It's not a big deal. I just, like we said at the beginning, I'm burnt with the drama. Don't care. Everybody I hang out with, I can't think of like, except for maybe Shauner and Condor, I can't think of 3 people I don't get along with, because
there's an RPG drama every like fortnight, and it's really fruity and boring.
What's a fortnight, real quick? What the fuck is a fortnight? Every
2
month?
weeks.
It's
Yeah,
an
2 weeks. Okay,
yeah, I thought it was 2 weeks.
that's another common.
I don't know.
It's really just people not. When people are doing like fruity drama, they're not doing the hobby. Like I've done it, but like, in my defense, I think I was just like soaking up the generalized middle-aged anxiety. Douche canoes, yes, conveyances upon the water with a dual use.
Well, welcome to the show, Mini War. You want the link and come on in and do some painting? Yeah, I've got extended family and they're leaving, and the very next day I've got more extended family coming to visit.
Well, you know what we need to do? We need to show up at your house. We'll be your side of the extended family.
Yeah, ditto, Mac. I want my friends at the table. I don't want thespians at my table. I want my friends.
I watched Mr. Mac and his crew do like a Star Trek. That was like hardcore, dude. They were like in character constantly. I can't play like that. I got to be like fun and jokey.
Some people like doing it. Some people like doing it theater sports, and some people are way more comfortable just focusing on the mechanics. And unless you're like recording it for a specific purpose, like Rick or whatever, like there's no reason to exclude anyone for having their own way of doing it. Like as long as they're cooperating,
Like I said, I'd rather play a crappy game with my best friends than the best game with a bunch of strangers. For me, it's always been about the people.
Some people are just not into doing funny accents and like showing off, and it makes them feel a little bit awkward, and that's fine,
Awkward shit.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I like the idea.
I'm playing a Southern Belle on a spaceship.
I like the idea of like getting into character, but I don't feel like anyone should be obligated. Like
some people are still to this day, intimidated or embarrassed or think people are going to laugh at them. And if you're not I know, right?
Yeah, but I think that's an age thing. Once we get old enough, we just stop caring.
Right, but there's still younger folks, I would say a little bit younger than James here, that still might have that kind of weird, feeling that they'd rather just tell themselves they're playing a miniature war game, and some of the people, get a little too into it, kind of thing. But I mean,
But even when I war game, I role play a little bit.
Exactly. I mean, how many of us have been in a war game, or hell, even Monopoly, right? And you're the race car, and you make race car sounds when you move your piece around the Monopoly board. Every one of us has probably done that. Okay, that's role playing. Okay, all games, to be honest, in my opinion, I said this once a long time ago.
Mel's family, right? We'll go. I'll bring a game like Thanksgiving, whatever. They can't not cheat. We're playing Monopoly, and they're like taking money out of the bank. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, I'm like, stop fucking cheating. It's like, it's not funny. Oh, we're not cheating. We're just whatever.
Okay. I'm going to mention something.
5 people fucking team up on Brian.
Honor, and you'll find him if you care.
I'm going to mention one thing here with Brian there. He has that card game, which
Brian's
is the
awesome. Shut up.
Brian's
a great guy.
No. With Brian, the card games that he brings over for the library stuff, which is always the B-rated movies.
Yeah, those are fun.
That's you can't buy them anymore.
It was Rick who won that one. It was Rick. He walked out the better man.
Yeah.
And Rick is a first class number 1 gentleman and scholar. That guy is one of my favorite people in the world. Just one of the nicest guys you ever meet. And it's not just because he's Canadian.
I think whinging about Shauna is also a form of like stoking RPG drama.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I mean, why?
You're right.
I don't even know who the hell it is.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like I said.
Stop fucking stirring the shit. Let's just talk about other shit. Let's talk about fast cars and faster women. That's always fun.
I like slow women.
Slow women. I can see James is the
it all has to do with the short bus. That's the whole thing.
short bus.
She wears a helmet, but she's not on a team kind of girl.
Hey, if she's down, I'm down.
Down like 4 flat tires.
Go for it, Mac. Go for it. Something actually happened about a year ago or something. Because he used to be, a lot different.
Shadow, you're stirring the shit, bro. Let's talk about something else.
I was just commenting on what Max said here because it was actually kind of funny.
Nerd saying I had to slow my car down to pass the test.
I don't want to reflect. I don't want to be like a repeater station for drama, because when you find out what it's about, it's usually just a misunderstanding. Like when you always get to the bottom of it, it always ends up being something that just needs to be clarified, and there's no problem really.
Okay, nerds, how did you make your car slow to pass emissions? Because a friend of mine is actually having the same problem right now. I don't know where she is. Raven was supposed to join us and paint because apparently paint on
jump
the
in
stream.
Why hasn't Nerd jumped in? Jump in, Nerd.
Probably because I haven't played the weekend.
They're irrelevant. If you're not gonna play with them, who cares?
What kind of car do you drive, nerd? Like a fucking Maserati or something?
She drives a tank. Come on.
It's a
You've
tank.
seen the Avatar. She's got a tank.
It's actually, I have a theory that Nerd is actually that tank girl, Sophie line.
Oh yeah.
Nope. She's
What the hell is an AMG E63S? Is that like a serial number or some shit?
This is just her alt account. To be fair, Sophie Line is like a very good representative of the military-industrial complex. She makes me way more sympathetic to it than I normally would be.
Yeah,
Well,
I remember someone across their thing. I'm like, what?
my jackass governor here in Cali just passed a law to where in less than a week or by the end of April or some junk, we're not going to be allowed to buy gasoline-powered chainsaws and lawnmowers and crap like that. I'm going to have to go out and buy a lawnmower that uses
you don't.
gas. Even,
You don't.
even
Just keep the one that you have and use it. That's it.
well, I've the one I've had for like 13 years, and it's never caused me any problem. Then I
Yeah.
made the dumb mistake of saying that. So the next time I go to use the lawnmower, it's not going to work. And there are no places out here where you can buy parts or service them or any of that. That's all.
Shadow,
Dude, eBay.
Shadow. It's as
eBay.
simple as getting a Blade Runner style combination of one of those rice paddy hats and a solar panel.
Shadow,
Oh
this
my
is for
God.
you. You know, right here,
Dude,
so you can cut
no.
your yard.
Okay, my yard is never more than like 4 inches tall. So I'm just going to be hitting dirt with that thing.
No.
I
If
just
it's
wanna-
flat, I've seen them go across it. You'll be fine.
I just
You
want
know,
to clarify
just
for
have to
those at
sharpen it.
home. What you're seeing now is Omanal with a gardening tool. You're not dying.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's okay.
That's right. This will probably be used sometime later this week, so I can cut down some more weeds.
You know, Mac, I'm just one guy, and no matter how I do the numbers, I've only got 2 hands, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, you just smoke.
Oh, dude, I'm done with fast food. This weekend is the last weekend my family will eat fast food now that minimum wage for fast food workers has gone up to $20 an hour.
$20?
It was at 16. It was at 16 a minute ago, and now it's going up to $20 an hour. Grow more of you. Yeah, I'll just cut off an arm and let it turn into another me. Do you know how crazy that would make my dog and my family? They'd be like, "Holy crap! There's 3 shadows here. Wait, there's 4 shadows here."
Yeah, it's just gonna kill the fucking. Yeah, it's just gonna kill.
Well,
the
that's
industry.
the idea. If you think the restaurants aren't going to just turn around and either fire everybody like Pizza Hut did today,
Well,
they
they
fired
will.
like 2,000 drivers. Said, "Go, we can't hire.
It
We can't."
depends on the it depends on the cost of living where you are. Like it's kind
Dude,
of
it's
like
horrendous.
it's a bit of a
Mhm.
chicken and egg thing. It's like you adjust wages, then there's inflation, then you know, it's like if you look at the trend of wage growth overall, it's not great. But then again, the cost of living was like not too bad until semi recently, and then it became crazy. So I wouldn't like to be living on that little, to be honest. You know, even though in Australian terms, that's really $30 an hour. So that's pretty high for a fast food guy.
Mhm, mhm.
You know, that's kind of like you're working at a proper restaurant level. You know,
Right.
I remember my
fast
first
food is
job.
not supposed to be fast food. You know, those kind of jobs are not meant. I mean, they're going to be making 50 grand a year slinging burgers. Mind you, that's not really going to be that much. You know,
But
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
the
it's
thing. The people
interesting
that are
in tech-
doing that aren't. They don't have mortgages for the most part. They might. Don't get me wrong. Some people
the
have to.
medical
I get
techs
it.
that
But
the medical techs at my old job about 5 years ago were earning about 45K a year. So it does seem a little bit high. It does seem a little bit high, but I also don't buy into that kind of like Randian. Like I'm not really a socialist, but I don't really buy into that Randian like screw the poor kind of like automatically.
$10 for a gallon of fucking milk. Holy shit!
That's crazy.
That's insane, bro.
Yeah, I agree,
$50
Al.
here.
It's a chicken and egg thing. It's like, but the idea that there's any one perfect ideology or solution or economic plan, I think it's eluded us all so far. Like, if we're being honest, you know.
Well, and it depends
I
the
mean,
type of milk you're buying too.
I'm broadly sympathetic to capitalism, but sometimes I think like the kind of like monopolistic
That's not
situation that we
capitalism,
have
that's
is not really
corporatism.
like that. Yeah,
But, yeah, that's corporatism, and people want to keep on trying to mix up the two.
yeah.
That's
right now, it's already almost $20 for a burger, fries, and a drink. Okay, that means every time, every hour, it's just crazy. You know,
Two burgers, chips, and a drink costs us $50 here.
cheeseburger, Pepsi, cheeseburger.
I just make it at home. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
It's better for you
Mac,
anyway.
Mac, I'm going to Texas.
I'm going to Texas. Awesome.
All my hexes come from Texas.
That's it.
Yeah, milk is $5 a gallon here, but gas is $6 a gallon.
Yeah, it's what is it here, Omen? It's like what, 240 or some shit?
I don't know because we're talking gallons. And I buy heavy cream. And if it was up to me,
Oh no, I'm talking about gas, dude. I was gonna say gallon. Oh shit.
Agreed. Yeah.
well, I bought 240. Though actually, I bought the non-ethanol gas, which was like 310 today. Because I don't like having the ethanol gas in my
50
stuff.
Australian dollars is like 100 pesos. No. A peso is a nickel, by the way. My son and I looked at it today.
An American dollar is about $1.50 Australian or 2 English pounds. You know what I mean? It's about double. It's about half of what the UK is, and it's about,
Yeah, the sterling's
halfway
always been a
from
really strong currency for So
that's right.
buying.
Well, some of
It
it
doesn't
is
help
that-
you at all.
No, but I love her anyway. R.I.P. Majesty.
The Commonwealth. Hurrah, hurrah.
Yeah.
There's a reason I'm planting fruit trees just in case.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, well, just be careful. Out here, some of that stuff isn't even allowed.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
Yeah, when you start regulating that
like
stuff,
the whole
when you
milk.
start-
James, you keep cutting me off, motherfucker.
well,
Yeah,
look, I do it
James,
because
I
I'm
don't know. I
I
don't
do
know
it
the
because
etiquette
I'm
in
from-
Australia, but down around these parts, that's rude.
Listen, you reprobate. I'm 10,000 kilometers away. I'm always like 2-second delay. That's why I'm like Mr. Cutoff. That's why I always jump off after like an hour. 'Cause
I'll
I'm
meet
like,
you in
"All right,
Texas,
everybody's
Matt."
tired of my shit now, for sure.
we've already got Brian and Omen and Bruce and Joshua from Total Party Skills out there. We open up a shop, and you'll have a home away from home.
Hell, Jules.
Goat milk is nasty. I would not know, but
I don't
goat
think I've ever had
on
goat
the
milk.
other hand is not bad. I've had goat.
You should
Goat
make a
milk is
cafe.
directly
You should have
dependent
a
on what the
cafe
goat
front.
eats.
You
I will
should
tell
have
you
a
this
cafe
much.
front of the RPG shop, and you should call it something really funny, like "I hate the Antichrist," something like that. You know how cafes always have pretentious names now? It's like, oh, where are we going for breakfast? Let's go to "I hate the Antichrist."
You know what? I'll put that in consideration because one of the things I want to do, if I can swing it, is open up a restaurant. Just something, hole in the wall ish. Maybe put the Mexican women to work or something. I don't know.
Get Connell behind the, give him reasonable working hours and, get him behind that grill.
He will never leave that liberal shithole he lives in. He will never do it.
Who's this?
Or at least
Remember, guys, there are no blue states, only blue cities, all right? And you grow the food, so just chill. Everything's going to be fine.
Oh, I know. I'm not
That's
worried about
true.
it.
That's true.
Because I mean, like, how long can I possibly live, right? What the feck is Kelvin? Anybody know what Kelvin is? I thought that was the black kid that lived down the street.
No. Here's a more fun one.
It's one of
What
the
is
little
ranking?
rascals.
There you go.
A furlong, 660 feet, I believe, is a furlong.
I thought that was the kid that was in Terminator 2.
You know what? 1 furlong by 1 furlong is I believe 10 acres.
Green Acres was a great show.
Hell yeah!
I love
Jar.
Jar Jar Gabor. I love the theme. The
Yep.
theme tune.
When me
everything.
and Mel go karaoke, that we do a duet with that one.
You're like,
Sing
oh
Green
look, they're
Acres.
making another gag by having a pig inside the living room. Like, I'm here for it. Like,
Believe it or not, we had someone just down the street who had a giant pig as a pet, and they never invited me over for bacon, so I'm kind of bummed. And how many paces are?
oh,
in a
they
parsec?
hated it. They hated
A
it. They're
parsec
so
is
smart.
3.25 light years, isn't it?
How many paces?
Pieces. I'm pretty sure once you go out to take a step, you freeze
One
solid.
base width. one base width is 100 paces. Okay, that's all you need to know.
Well, no. Here's a fun one because Shadow's in California. I'm in Texas. How long is Zavara?
Take
What's a
care, Mac.
bar?
Thanks for showing up and playing along. I am already
You're
starting to
right,
look
Mac.
at books on that list.
Jeez, bro.
Are they in like an order, Mac? Should I just go straight down? Is that how you did it, or is it alphabetized? I didn't pay that much attention, but I looked at a couple of titles to see.
They're in order as I went around my den and started writing down names.
Okay, so totally random.
Yep.
Okay, no worries. I'm sure I'll get through all of them, but that's quite a list.
Yeah, I'm still working on it too. I'm about a third of the way through, but I've skimmed most of them.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
How many
All right,
Pretty
chains?
soon
now
Jack's
y'all-
gonna want to read them too when he's done with the book he's reading. And if I don't talk to you soon, Mac, Happy New Year.
Yeah, God,
Yeah, Mac,
God
take it easy,
bless
brother.
you, son. God bless
Hey,
you.
no bomb in Poland, okay? They're one of the good guys.
That's the Justin's Christmas message.
What?
Sorry, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to make him
How much is a
furious.
dollar drink? There's no such thing here. Mini Warbot. There really isn't.
How much is a can of drink here now?
Oh, like depends on if you get it from a shop or if you
$2, $3?
Oh, about four.
4?
Yeah.
Holy crap!
For a soda?
Bottles, yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
That's nuts.
But this ginger beer is like 99 cents a bottle.
No, it's not anymore. It's $1.30 or $1.50.
Oh, I feel so lied. I feel so lied to.
It's like that. Remember that scene in Running Man where they're at the girls are like in the office and they're trying to buy a soda. It's like $8, and they're trying to do $8 a change in the vending machine.
Well, yeah, it's getting to that. It's getting to that stage.
James, better be careful. Nerd spitting up thanks to your humor.
Sorry, nerd.
You know what? I would love to see James and Justin. I mean, like a shit stir like battle. That'd be awesome.
I want to see them play. I want to see them play a good old fashioned, just whatever game. When James
I would love
starts
to
to
play.
channel up.
I would love to play a World War II game against Justin for sure.
That'll make everybody's day. Oh my
And you're
god!
the German, right?
No, he'll be the he's the one he's a wereaboo, you know, wereaboo.
I like Justin. He's funny.
I mean, yeah, I like him too. But you know, I mean, it's not all about Uncle.
Nice,
It's not
nice
all about
insert
Uncle.
name. A mega death is equal to 1 million deaths. You're welcome. Nice.
You know?
Nice.
I mean, I respect Uncle for being the first vegan dictator, but that's about where it ends.
we got to get our age quota in.
Well, since he's not here, you're gonna pick up the slack for him?
Yeah, we're the ones being silly.
Actually, Dave Mustaine was actually a really cool guy.
He's fired like all of his
He's-
guys.
Yeah.
Except the one guitarist that went to Japan. He quit.
I
went
used to-
Japan.
I saw
used to kind
Megadeth
of-
in concert a couple years ago
Yeah, dude.
over here in
They're
Austin.
great. They're great.
I used to
saw
kind
them
of
in a
hate-
garage, so
I used to kind of hate hair metal because like it was always like a style that like dudes who stole your girlfriend copied. But
There's the
as
reason
I've
why you
got-
hate it.
yeah. But as I got older, I'm like, you can't deny the hits. Oh, thank you, Brie, on a biscuit. Lovely.
Oh, damn! What's that's a cookie, right?
This is a water cracker with cheese.
So it's like a little burger. Let me see it. Stop moving
little
around.
cheese sandwich.
Oh, okay, I got you. Oh, okay, I got you. Very cool.
It's a soft cheese, like such as which I'm made of.
The stuff that comes out of those abscess videos that I love watching.
No, when I spend a lot of time thinking, my brain just like it's just so big, and it's like they have to lop it off, and that's where brie comes from.
I'm telling you, it comes from the thighs of inflamed cyst.
Dude, I am not above putting you in timeout.
Oh, I remember one time Mel was like, what are you watching? I'm like, oh, you want to see what I'm watching? Yeah. And it's like the bot fly removal.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh.
I'm like, there you go, baby.
I'm eating here.
Yeah, but which one? Because there's one that's kind of famous. Just saying.
Is this the one with all the cats that they start removing?
No, it's the one where they were coming out of a certain place. I'm just gonna leave it there.
Oh.
I'm gonna have some.
Well, I know
pork
what you've
with
been looking
my,
at.
There's a fetish for everything, guys.
I'm gonna have some port with my cheese.
Some port.
Some alcohol, because I need it to deal with.
So
The bot
check this
fly.
out. I don't know if you guys got to see it, but I'm gonna blow it up because
It's your show.
yeah, I get to do shit like that. Solo layout. I got this for the little guy for Christmas. Okay, I don't know if you can see these kick-ass looking elemental lords.
I like the one on the upper right.
I've never bought a Bones Black figure. Are they good?
Yeah, they're surprisingly decent.
Yeah, bone stuff is good. I like the bone stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Even
His
the white
favorite, I thought his favorite would be the fire genie or Afridi down at the bottom, but his favorite's the freaking fish.
Yeah, because the fish is the coolest one.
Oh,
It's
a
just
fish?
goofy looking, you know. Admiral Akbar.
No, all the others just look like bland. I mean, come on, the
No, the
Quetzalcoatl
fish
or
looks
whatever.
great. The fish
It's
looks great because he's like, it's a crap.
That one's pretty
Exactly.
cool. The Afrit, that one's pretty cool.
No, that just looks like someone just put a head on top of a body. It doesn't look.
Yeah,
that
that one, I don't know if that's the earth elemental or air. That one, I admittedly, is boring. This one, you know, made out of stone, is kind of
Really?
okay.
No, it
But-
looks. You know, they could do a better job on those. The fish is the only one that looks like, hey, I'm a water elemental. I'll
Who's
actually
the
look like
sculptor?
something in
Does it
water.
say who sculpted it?
I believe so. Sculpted by Izzy Talon Collier.
No,
Uh, No, that was the designer. The sculptor was Bobby Jackson. Bobby Jackson does good stuff. I've been seeing his stuff for decades. Yeah, the water guy is solid. It's
It's just not your thing.
When are we
That's all
gonna
I feel
play?
like.
When are we gonna play your game? I want to play.
Well, I was kind of waiting for Hungar wants to be in it, so I would feel bad.
If you wait for
Game.
Hungar,
War game.
Hungar
War
is
game.
never going to play. You have to just start it up, and then Hungar can come in whenever you want. That's what you got to do, because otherwise
Yeah.
he's going to be in the hospital forever, and you're going to let him die before he can ever play. I mean, come on, you got to just start it up and let him join in at
Yeah.
any time.
Well, it's definitely probably going to be in the first or second week of January. And I just got to find a night that's good for everybody, because all three of you guys are going to be
Saturday
in it, as
night.
far as I know. Friday night, is that what you said?
I said Saturday night.
Friday or
Saturday
Saturday
night.
night's fine by
If I
me.
do Saturday
Oh,
night,
shit, look at that! Mini Warmont popped his cherry on the printer. Hell yeah, dude! What'd you do? Would you so Mini Warmont bought himself a 3D printer, but it's a filament, which is still cool.
yeah, I know. Hungar's home.
Would you print
Really
up?
bought a
dude?
filament printer? Yeah. After seeing the stuff you sent me, I'm going to kick my snap maker to the curb, and just sell it or something. I know I'm going to take a loss, but it's never been used. But
Yeah,
I
it ain't worth anything if you can't.
well, I
sell
paid
it or
I
use
paid
it.
an exorbitant amount of money for it, but I
You
got a
should
really
keep
good
it for you should keep it for terrain
Yeah,
and
man.
tanks and stuff like that. Like filament's quite good. For that sort
For
of thing.
terrain, it can be. Yeah. Is it a HD, like a high definition filament one?
No, it was the first snap maker, so it's
Okay.
already an
Shit.
antique. It's already an antique. Somebody out there might want it. Otherwise, it's going to be.
I'm gonna make a video when I get some more resin in. I'm gonna make a video on how to print a 3D resin 3D printer. It's gonna be Brian like, okay, motherfuckers, first thing you do, and I'm just go through the steps and just show everybody how fucking easy it is, like in the way that only I can. So hopefully,
Feel like
guys will
CIA wants the CIA wants you to buy from GW, man. Just print, okay?
Yeah, stop buying that shit. Just print it.
Uh-oh. Here comes trouble, guys. Here comes trouble.
Hooray!
Oh,
Uncontrollable toil and trouble.
Wait a minute. Do you have to keep washing your hands all the time? No.
Consistently.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
New Ultra 4 Pro, really? He got himself a resin too.
Hey,
Nice.
nerd, did you get the 8K printer that you were eyeing for Christmas?
Oh.
Sorry. No, I did not. I've resisted temptation so far, and I'm going to ride my OG Saturn out until it dies.
Okay. So this is what I see. I see the middle of the night. She has a hammer in her hand, and like I don't know how it got destroyed.
It broke. I don't know what happened.
No, I'm still in the hot seat for buying car parts, so I have to be very nice with my other hobbies right now.
Okay. So what are you building right now?
In the garage or in the printer?
Yes.
The garage.
So I am working on adding a methanol injection to my E63 and upping the boast by about 3 pounds.
Man, what do you do? Do you race? I mean, what? I mean, okay, me saying like, why do you do that? That's a fucking dumbass. But I mean, do you
I was
race?
just thinking,
You just
God,
gonna
it'd be so helpful to have a real man around the house. Like,
No shit.
I liked when the card goes vroom, zoom, zoom, zoom.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Hey, that's enough. That's enough.
I have taken it to a strip once. I ran a 10-3, which is, I'm hoping to get in the 9s at some point, but that's probably a little
10-3
greedy.
for us laymen that don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
So 10.3 seconds in the quarter mile.
Ah, very cool. Very cool. A buddy of mine bought one of the new Corvettes, and there's a button. There's like a 0 to 60 button on the
Raven,
damn
get
Corvette.
your ass in here.
It's
see what
like,
you're
what the
paying.
hell?
Yeah, so it's got. I think that turns on the launch control, so it gets like perfect traction. My car does a similar thing. You'll see a lot
Does
of
it?
performance vehicles have that now.
That's crazy. I'm just like, what's
Just
this
Yeah,
a
my
doing?
0
reminder
to
to-
60 is 2.9.
just a reminder to Inland Revenue to be nice to Nerd's
Inland
Nerd
Revenue.
and not cut off her property with a
I know what that
commercial
means.
building, because she'll customize her own earth moving equipment and take out her bloody revenge.
I have
Right.
already started my killdozer. It has been in progress for 3 years.
Space.
She just got to get really. She needs that reason to get really pissed off.
I was just more worried that she was going, complete idiocracy with us. I'm like, uh-oh.
I need to
And then I-
rewatch that. I haven't seen that in so long.
So I'm glad to hear that it
Yeah,
was
it used to be
Killdozer.
hilarious. Nowadays, it's just depressing.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
realistic.
it's prescient. It's prescient
Shit.
rather than it's a moral play at this point.
In what's his face running for office again this year? I can't remember the guy who played Camacho or whatever.
Oh, you're talking about Terry something?
Terry, yeah, that guy. I guess he was going to actually run for president again this year. This coming up election.
Camacho was a great president. He
No, he was.
he's been
I
working
mean,
on the
come on. He
problem.
actually has a gun. He's not afraid to use it. All right. How am I supposed
And
to
he
do?
saw what plants
hire the
crave.
correct cabinet members to solve.
That's right.
He
That's
fixed
right.
the problem.
Yep,
He
that's
did.
right.
Yeah.
Hey, well, it's better than our current politicians, which are both half as smart as the people in idiocracy and don't want to solve the problem.
It's true that the smart people aren't breeding, though.
They're smart
I
enough. not
tried.
to,
I
guess.
tried. I have to
Sorry.
fucking,
So many of my fellow millennials are like, we're all collecting Funko Pops until the grave. It's a little bit depressing.
Well, if you can't buy a
Yeah,
house,
yeah,
you might
yeah.
as well get Funko Pops.
That's
you,
it.
you know what? If you don't buy Funko Pops, you could probably buy a house. I mean, it's the kid.
I don't know. Have you seen the market? Do you know how many Funko Pops you get for $600,000?
Well,
Someone bought my
12?
girlfriend.
100,000.
Someone
Jesus.
bought my
What
girlfriend a
house is mine?
Morrissey. Someone got my girlfriend a Morrissey Funko Pop, and like I looked at it and I was like, "How is this different to any of the other Funko Pops? What makes this one Morrissey? Is he just a little bit depressed, or
He's got a frown.
yeah, he's a sad
His hair
Funko
sticking
Pop."
up a little bit.
My
I
fear.
have never, ever, ever had the desire to buy a single Funko Pop, and
Dude,
I think
talk about masterful marketing. Convinced
I know.
everybody that this thing was worth fucking buying. You know what I mean?
Beanie
Did-
Baby.
Not opening it.
Well, did you see
Yeah,
that the
Pet
Funko
Rock.
Pops are now beginning to lose value, just like the Beanie Baby craze in the 90s?
But
Mhm.
they had value?
Shit.
All I could think is
not
like,
that I'm aware of.
I was just expecting Nerd to say, I'm still retaining them for when they go back up in price. No.
No, I have 3 Funko Pops. It's Dayman and Nightman from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and Billy Butcher from The Boys.
Oh no.
That's
Oh yeah, The Boys. That's a badass show, man. Hey, is the
I've
new
never
season
seen it.
out
I've
yet?
seen a couple of clips from it. It does look good.
Oh, it's epic. You need to watch it, Shadow. It's badass.
I figured you'd say that. I just
You need
I'm gonna
watch
go
Ice
through- I'm gonna
Pirates
try to-
first, motherfucker.
okay, Ice Pirates, and then UFO, and then maybe I'll get to
Boy.
Pirates of Dark Water because I did actually pay for that, and it came in the mail
wow.
like a month ago. But with the guests that I have and stuff, and Grandma, they're always. I got to move the freaking DVD player and into the uncomfortable room to watch movies. Otherwise, I'll never get to watch it. And
Dude, what happened to the pants? Thought you wore the pants in that house.
hey, it's Grandma, you know.
I know, I'm fucking with you.
You don't mess with Abuelita.
Yeah, Abuelita. You don't. Yeah, trust me. I know.
You just make sure that you give her the big tablet of Mexican chocolate and hope she chokes on it. No.
What the fuck?
Terrible,
Jesus.
terrible.
You
You know, as my boomer relatives start to age out, even though there is a little bit of a generational divide, I'm like, maybe we should be nice to them. Even my liberal wine aunt, I will be nice to.
Yeah, they gotta leave all that shit to somebody, right?
well, no.
She's
He's
giving
over
me a World War One. She's giving me a World War One cigarette case that belonged to my great grandfather, like a campaign cigarette case.
He's gonna buy the urn of wine and like, here, I love you, Auntie. He's like, all right, she's not gonna make it past Thursday if she drinks this all of this.
Yeah, she loves CNN. She loves CNN, and she thinks that Trump is the Antichrist.
You know what amazes me is you ask like, where did Trump touch you so badly, and they're just like,
Yeah, I'm like, show me on the doll where Trump touched you.
It's insane.
Beanie Babies are back. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's my time, baby.
Awesome. My secret passion can finally be exploited.
Retirement
Well, the
back
secret
on.
passion- the secret passion has got to
I've
be
been
like
retired
model
since I was
railways.
35, but yeah.
The secret passion has surely
I-
got to be model railways, because as soon as you build a train tracks for your war game, it's like, you've started
Dude, I
something.
do have a love of model trains. I
me
actually
too.
I had some kick-ass Lionels way back in the day. I mean, way back.
Nerds got the STLs for the German armor train.
Nice.
Really, what's the deal?
Pretty sweet, and it's free.
I'd love to do like
Yeah, the big
Trotsky's-
one and the small one.
I know.
I'd love
I
to do
the
like
small one,
Trotsky's,
though. That one, that's cool.
Trotsky's armored train.
So
with,
that's
like,
what
a bunch
N
of
and
like
L, I think. N and L
a
scale.
bunch of red infantry, and then maybe some like white Cossacks chasing it, like running alongside it. That'd be a cool game.
Shooting at it.
That was nice, Owen, but she doesn't do either, unfortunately.
Well, that's why I said you give her one of the Mexican chocolates so she can put that in her hot coffee or whatever, and you know.
No, that we've got
swear to
like
God.
a craftsman of that stuff.
My
here.
neighbor, I could hear. It's like they're fucking bowling in their house. I just hear this like, just like it sounds like a damn bowling ball rolling down the damn place. It's fucking crazy.
I think I'm the bad neighbor. so
Are you?
I won't comment. Yeah.
All right.
I
I
looked
am
it up.
trying. I am trying slowly but surely to create my map here. You know, following the instructions.
Uh-huh. And
I'm just slowly getting there. That's all. The
Okay.
end.
yeah, I figured you'll be able to.
It's like just use Minecraft. Use Minecraft.
You know what? You know what? Part of what I want to do is I want to do a necropolis, and so then I can send the players through it, and I don't have to worry about does it make logical sense? You know,
Okay,
how do these
I-
things
I've
have to
got a-
eat?
Yeah, you don't
What-
need
what
bathrooms,
are these
food stuffs,
players
or
to speak of?
I've
What
been
in
know-
to a goth.
players?
I've been to a goth nightclub called Necropolis. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
well, exactly. I want the
yeah,
necropolis. I
that's
want to
like
have the
in every
mummies
city.
and the
Mm.
skeletons and the you know, at the fire, you know,
Yeah.
you're starting death knights near the bottom, and then they can talk to you, and then you get the ghost that are trying to say, "Save me! You must get." You know,
Hey, Brian, have you noticed that the same goths show up in like different countries and like different
Dude,
cities? Like,
yeah. You guys clone each other, man. It happens. It's a cloning operation. The Goths. But hey,
yeah,
that's a good thing too. That's a good
Yeah.
thing too.
yeah, MK Ultra, Robert Smith style.
I mean, again, I was a punk and I dated a goth, man. They're okay.
Well,
They're
punks are
fun to-
where punks
they're
are
fun
where
to
goth
be
girls go
around
to go out
because
with a
they're
guy
so
who isn't like
weird.
whiny. If a girl wants a boyfriend who isn't whiny, they're not gonna hang around with goth guys because that's not gonna work.
I mean,
Goth
I
guys
enjoyed
love
hanging out with the goths because you guys are
complaining.
so fucking weird. You know, and I just giggled and I laughed and shit all the time. It was
Yeah, I was too like high energy to be a goth.
You're like, dude, you're not goth, man. You're bouncing around. Stop.
Yeah.
Let's go to a graveyard and do shit on Tombstone.
I shit on
You guys ever
Spawn.
seen the Mighty Boosh? Have you ever watched that show?
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Except
one
when they
where
kiss.
Vince has like some goth chicks come over, and then who's the other guy? Vince and
Howard.
Howard's like, yeah, I went to a graveyard, took a shit on a tombstone. He's trying to be cool, and he's like, yeah, I took a shit on a swan. I'm just like,
And he had hairspray, magic hairspray made from the tears of Robert Smith, and he threw an orange into the air and like froze it in midair.
I remember that one. As a
That's a
matter of fact,
great
I've got this really weird like hardback book about the show. I don't even know where I got it. I think I must have been eBay, but it's got all kinds of goofy shit in it. That show was great.
It's all
My
on
favorite-
YouTube now. It's all up there now.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
you can
really?
watch it.
Really?
oh,
My
you guys,
favorite-
speaking of YouTube, you guys, if you Weird World War II extraordinaire, Danger 5 is all on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I love Danger
Dude,
5.
it is
I love Danger
fantastic,
5.
man.
That is like nerd heaven for guys like us.
Second season is iffy because they went into the future and all that shit. But man, first season is solid. That's great.
Mm.
My favorite Bush character.
And as
though,
always,
has to
the mission,
be
let's
the
kill
pink head
Hitler.
with
And don't
the little
forget,
tentacles.
kill Hitler.
That was the best.
Which one?
Remember him? The pink head character. With the tentacles. It's just a head with little tentacles.
Oh yeah, he's like you're not on the crunch. You can't handle the crunch or whatever. He's like, shut up. Yeah, that's.
Oh, now I'm
that's
gonna have to
great
watch
shit.
that. I have to put that show on my list.
Yeah.
Darth
Yeah.
Darth Marenghi's
Probably have
Dark
to put
Place
that
is
in for
another
the
great show.
British invasion there, James.
Yeah.
That show
Yeah.
was just absolute ridiculousness. Just
No, you need to watch Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. That is like
Yeah, that's
that'll
pretty
change
funny.
your life.
I quite like Richard Ayoade.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen his spin-off Dean Lerner, where he's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's like a kind of a Don Lane kind of like Playboy Mansion kind of guy, and he's like, "Good evening, I'm Dean Lerner."
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah,
He's a great comedian.
he would have been such a good Doctor Who.
No worries, nerds.
Richard Ayoade, like he would have been an awesome Doctor Who.
When you say There's bailing. You're not bailing, girl.
No,
are
no,
you?
she's just stepping away for a couple of seconds.
No.
Mm.
She's gonna make sure her nitrous turbocharger is fueling right or shit. I can't even talk. I can't even talk cool.
Everybody
Gearhead.
needs one. Everybody needs one friend who can do that stuff, and you're like, look, I don't care how much beer and pizza I have to buy you. Like, just
And the
fix it.
first thing they say, it's gonna cost more than beer and pizza, motherfucker.
Mhm. Mhm. Often, yeah. You're like, what are the parts going to cost? And you're like, oh, well, that's my year over.
Dream crushed.
You guys have dreams? There's your problem.
Dreams. That's something I don't do anymore. Was dream. I haven't dreamed in a long time.
Well, that's
dream
that's just because you've been married for too long. The rest of us
I
still
dream when I don't smoke the marijuanas.
have- no,
Mary Jane.
Yeah, when I don't smoke it, I dream. But when I do, I generally sleep too deeply to remember it.
You're killing your dreams with psychotropic drugs, man.
Totally, dude.
East Walton A.
Light it up, bro. You know what we need to, you know what'd be cool is go to I haven't been to Burning Man, dude. We should go to Burning Man and fucking war game. Do a battle report at Burning Man. That'd be awesome.
No, you just go to Burning Man and hand out a bunch of acid and then like dress as different RPG monsters and like jump out of the bushes and stuff.
There are no bushes. It's a dry
It's just
riverbed.
desert, yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing there. But you could probably pop out of, motorhomes and things like that.
Oh,
I
dude.
think
Well,
it's
hold it.
become
We
very-
know Shadow wouldn't make it because because people would smell and he would just be like out
Oh,
of
yeah, that
day
would be-
2, you know.
It's kind of like a rich people festival, though.
Oh,
now,
yeah,
right?
it's
I
not.
mean,
Now it is. Now it
It's
is.
not what it used to be, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I was looking at a concert that was in LA that had like a really good lineup, and I was sending it to Shadow. I was like, "Look at this! It's like Susie and the Banshees and all these
Oh,
other
right.
bands."
Mhm.
And he's like, "Yeah, it looks great." Like, I was like, I could actually see myself like maybe even planning for something like that. And then I look at the concert tickets alone; it's like $316 for like
Oof.
standing room.
What? Yeah, dude.
Yeah, like holy heck!
I
And
won't
that
go.
doesn't
I won't,
include plane fare or travel from the airport to there, car
Mhm.
rental.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's ridiculous.
And car rentals are absolutely insane out here.
Yeah.
The only the only shows that are worth a shit are the ones that are in like clubs or hovels or some shit.
Well, I'm seeing Elvis Costello.
Stadium
this
shit
year.
sucks.
I'm seeing Elvis Costello next year, and I'm seeing
I hate
Mike-
Elvis Costello. Oh my
good,
God.
good. I'm glad. And
I just
Michael,
now learned that's a different person than Elvis Presley.
It is. It is.
that's great. I'm seeing Michael Rother from Neu, apparently the German krautrock band. What's this like spacey psychedelic jams?
Right on. I don't think I know him. Is he from Kraftwerk? Is that what you said? Or
No, he's the kind of krautrock, like the more kind of progressive rock end of that German music scene,
Oh,
but
okay.
he's like a Kraftwerk associate kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Like, so it's more guitar driven, but like they still play in that really metronomic kind of psychedelic way.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, they're missing some symbols. Son of a.
Symbols of power exchange.
Hey, I'm slowly getting there. I finally put some walls into my isometric crap. So
There you go.
Like I said, I would still love-
that's had walls.
Hey, I want to have the necropolis, out there, so the players can go in, they can come out. It's not like everything's going to come after them again and plan and do all the other crap. It's like, no, you go further and further down. You just meet, more ancient undead.
Okay,
You
so you
should
think of
say-
the necropolis, right? Okay, you got the actual necropolis, right? Well, what about the areas around it? There's like shit like doing patrols or there's zombies around? Or how far out does all that go before you actually get to the necropolis?
Oh,
Sarcophagi,
the games the Necropolis is
Deadpool,
the easy part because you meet all
DJ
the priests
Booth.
and things like that. It's all the other stuff that once you go in, they're like, you're not coming out. It's all of the dead worship, all the worshipers coming to worship the dead. Grandma's in there.
That's one thing that like is so formulaic. You have that trope where like you just arrive at the destination. You arrive at the objective. Like let's say World War II, you arrive right outside the laboratory, entrance. I'm like, how the fuck did we get here? There's patrols.
You took a trot.
Yeah. I mean, it's World War. If it's World War II, it's because the Allies have pushed far enough that you only need to go the last 3 or 4 miles. That's the only part that actually gets dangerous for the most part.
Well,
Yeah,
people
it's
swim
mild
people
before you
swim the
actually
English
get to the
Channel.
thing.
But here, I don't want to have to go through like, all right, guys, we're going to play 1-to-1 time. I'd like you to hop on the truck and you can go 30 miles a day. All right, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Well, thanks. And every so often you got to meet the drunk supply sergeant or, it's part of the thing. It's just like, you speed up time when it's necessary. You slow it down when it's necessary. But I don't need to go over and say, oh, you know what? It's World War I. It's you as an infantryman. We're going to take it from the time that you go through boot camp to the time that you put your foot on the boat.
I'm saying there's obviously some patrols before the damn thing. I'm not talking about, okay, guys, let's get our troop shit from New York and head off to the fucking British Isles. And then we're going to cross the English Channel to France. And then we're going to go to Belgium. I'm not saying that.
I mean, with your map, you should save each kind of layer once you get to a certain point so you can keep reusing the work that you've done.
Well, you know what though this is just more of a practice because when I want to go into it is I'd like to have it more of basalt. I would like it to have a lot of empty rooms and with drawings and put traps in there and stuff like that. And,
It's a trap.
Hey, well, no. You have to remember is he chose poorly.
He chose poorly.
That's right. You got to have the whole Indiana Jones, looking for the Holy Grail.
I don't really like. I have a particular dislike of Indiana Jones.
Really?
There's some things that don't sit right about Indiana Jones's character with me. I don't know what it is. It's like one of the things where it's like had a seedy relationship with like his colleague's 13-year-old daughter. They're like,
it's a different time. You cannot put.
How old was she supposed to be?
I think that's cutting it a bit fine.
Wait. How old was she supposed to be when he was
13? 13.
Was she 13?
Like, what a strange thing for Steven Spielberg to put in this family entertainment.
Are you sure? Are you sure that was Stephen King?
Well, that's like Princess Leia. Princess Leia was supposed to be what, 16, 15?
I don't know.
It said 16 from when I googled it.
16.
Okay.
Right.
You just
Now, he's
Googled it right now?
26, which still, I just googled it. It said he was supposed to be 26 and she was 16, which that's questionable at best. Yeah, that's a little.
Yeah.
Well, she seemed pretty mature.
She was upset about it. But I don't know. Like there are.
It was that whole Loretta Lynn vibe.
I don't know. I kind of don't really buy Harrison Ford, to be honest with you.
Oh, that last
he's very dry. He's very dry, but I'm not a big Star Wars guy. I'm not a big guy.
He was hilarious in that one bit where he landed the airplane on the shuttle track instead of the air track.
Mm-hmm.
Just insane.
Yeah, well, he does he does cool stuff in real life. Like he's like a rescue pilot in his area. And stuff.
Well, he did that until he's what,
now,
90 now. I'm not even sure he's allowed to fly.
He's pushing it now, but I don't know. I never really like.
Harrison Ford actually rescued some people in the 90s. With he was a rescue pilot. That's what he did on the side.
You said he was 90 years old.
Isn't it? How old is he now?
I mean, I don't know if he's 90, but he's up there.
He's pretty old. Yeah.
Hmm.
I want to say he's 80, like low 80s.
I'm sorry, it's 81. I'm sorry, you know.
But
I
he's
must be
not- like he
thinking of.
took his own helicopter too, Ryan. It's not like he was a professional rescue. He took his own helicopter and volunteered to say, "I'm gonna go rescue some people because I'm bored today."
Yeah, exactly.
Shit.
I mean, that's a real hero, whether you like it or not. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like I think he's cool. I think he's cool in real life, but I just never really.
I think you're a real hero.
I like Empire. I like Empire Strikes Back out of all the Star Wars films, and I like.
That is the best one.
I like the Indiana Jones film with Sean Connery because the banter is quite funny, but like.
Yes.
I just never got super into either of those. You know, even Star Trek, I'm kind of like, meh.
Yeah, I'm that way with Star Trek. The more I watch it, the more I go. Actually, you know what? The problem with Star Trek is after Deep Space Nine, it just went downhill pretty fast.
A lot of it is kind of filler. It's kind of a workplace drama more than anything else. It has some funny moments and it has some like action-packed moments. But I actually loved Enterprise because it was more low tech and a bit more adventure driven, you know, like it got a bit static. It got a bit static and repetitive after that.
When they got to the void and all that, that was cool.
Even Doctor Who, like the thing that I've noticed about the modern Doctor Who is that they have like basically 9 plots and they just kind of chop and change. You know what I mean? Like,
well, technically there are only 9 or 10 actual plots in stories, or at least in the
I thought there were 21. It all varies depending on who you ask.
Well, it depends on who's
It
writing
boils
the
down to
article.
the 3, right?
Yeah.
The 3 archetypes of stories is like man versus nature, man versus man, and I forget the third one.
Man versus himself or something.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, let's see. Overcoming the Monsters, Rags to Riches, The Quest, Voyage and Return, Comedy, Tragedy, Rebirth. Those are 7 basic plots, apparently. And then they go to all the different stuff of the types of origin story, value story, vulnerable story, and personal story.
To be honest, what I want to get back into more is actually just reading. Like, I think the touchscreen has kind of killed my attention span a little bit, and I need to actually spend a bit more time reading like good fiction and good sci-fi and fantasy as well. But
I just get
like Audible. It's just
you know,
Audible. You just
like,
put it in while you paint.
Knocking out the time to just do that. I think just doing it as a kind of captive audience in a cool room.
I listen to Horror Babble a lot. That's a YouTube channel that does like horror stuff.
Audiobooks are different. It's not the same.
Yeah,
it's not the same. It's all right.
I'll
It's all right if you want to whack on, like, if you're doing like some kind of historical war game and you're like, I suppose I should probably research this period, like, and throw on like documentaries while you're painting. Like,
no one else
fine.
does, dude.
But like close reading is like there's nothing like it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no replacement for in terms of like absorbing the text.
I need to get back
really
into
lacking
it.
in the discipline. I need to get back into it.
Yeah, I used to read a novel a day. Like, I was such an avid reader. I would just knock it out, book a day, nonstop. Loved it. I don't think I've read a book in 3, 4, 5 years.
So the problem that I have is that I can read 100 pages, and then that's as far as I can actually read, and I have to finish it off with the Audible book because I'm usually trapped in a car for 6 hours. So
I fall asleep like Shadow, like 2 pages in.
Well, that's just because you guys are old.
I envy you. I envy people who can just fall asleep anywhere.
Actually, the problem that I have is that it takes effort for me to read more than 10 pages because I like to do something else.
I just have a terrible attention span these days, and I need to retrain myself.
Well, I was doing reading. I was reading Amber, and then I got through a couple of the chapters for I guess it's Stormbringer or whatever for.
So you read stuff. You don't finish a book and then go to another one. You're reading multiple books at once.
Yeah,
no,
I do that all the time.
Usually,
do you know how many books I have? Like 100 pages in. It's like 40 of them.
Wow.
Usually if I'm committed to a book, like I'll just be reading that. But like there are a bunch of books that I'm skimming at one time. But I mean, like, to really like properly read it.
Well, you have to realize
once you get sucked into the book, like you read it till it's finished, and then you realize, 8 hours have gone by. Where have I been in this other world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the problem I
I
have
actually
is
want to
that it's
reread. I want to reread Dragonlance. I know it's going to be cheesy, but I'm there for the sentimental wholesomeness of the whole thing.
but
You know.
I read for ideas. I read for that's why when I pull out a lot of stuff, like I still need to get through my the Explorers of the Amazon. You know, the first man that went down the Amazon, which, by the way, that's you know, that's an interesting story for that part. So I need to get through that one. I need to get through the Mycelium Running. I got through 100 pages of that one where I started learning about how they can use fungi to get rid of nerve gas, and then there were several others that I would get through about 100 pages and I just use the Audible book to finish it off. And I still am slowly working through some of the RPGs. I got through.
I like radio plays and audio dramas and
I like that
listening to documentaries and stuff like that. Like I love all that stuff, but I don't find my retention is the same as like reading. You know what I mean? Like
it's probably just age too, isn't it? Like we just.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
But really, for me, most of it comes down to is I care more about charts and stuff if I want to learn. I've got to, you know, I look at that stuff and more because a lot of text is just it doesn't actually have anything useful, or it's just to give you an understanding of the chart. That's what a lot of it comes down to.
That's very engineer brain though. Like if you're reading like H. Rider Haggard's She, and like getting really into the story and the language, or like, you know, Conan the Barbarian or something, and you're like, this is really pulpy, but it's actually really atmospheric at the same time, you know, like
you know, I have to give dibs to you, Ullman, because you know you're talking about like you're reading a book about fucking color dyes, right? Now I could watch a documentary about that, but I couldn't read a book about that because it just wouldn't keep my attention. But I could watch something like that.
To be fair, it was an audiobook, and like I said, I'll drive for 6 hours. I'll drive for 6 hours to do it, and you know that makes a big difference if you're driving.
Yeah.
You know, and I can only listen for about an hour or two, and then I want to do something else. But I've been meaning to go back and listen to the Iliad. It's on there, but you know, a lot of stuff I get is but you know, some of it is, you know, for my job, I have to read a lot of stuff and try processing a lot of that. And I'm like, look, you're getting too wordy, you know, and so I have to go back
the classics are underrated, and they're cheap, if not free, if you read digital stuff.
It's free.
A lot of like classic literature and like books and stuff, I've maybe bought like when I was younger, thinking, "Oh, I'm so clever," and then really struggled with them. But sometimes books like that, you come back to them years later and you just click with them.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, I did that with Dune, but I mean, when you look at some of like the audiobooks I listen to, they're like 21 hours, you know, 21 to 35 hours. And it's like, okay.
Like War and Peace, the first time I read War and Peace, I was like, this is a slog. This sucks. Am I reading this because I feel like I should be reading it? And then I reread it.
That's your email right there. I'm going to read War and Peace, man.
And then I reread it years later, and I was like, actually, this is one of the greats. This is like excellent. It is a good book. Yeah.
And I think that's the problem that we have with a lot of them is there's so many cool things out there. And you know, I've finally been trying to slowly go through the Appendix Ns. Of course, I'm doing this in my late 40s and early 50s now. But
you know, it's like when you and you know, I watched James's show that you guys were on the other day.
Yeah.
And you guys were just spouting off all this shit, like all these novels and all these writers and shit, and like half of them I don't even know what the hell you guys are talking about.
Well, to be fair, that's mostly to be fair for Justin. Justin's read tons and tons of books, but see, as I got older, I wanted books so I could make my worlds more real. And I went back and like read Dying Earth, and then I know that Shadow Likes Amber. I've been reading, you know, the first book for Amber. I'm on page 60 out of like 120 for the first book. But you know, but the Dying Earth, man, when you read that, you read Edgar Rice Burroughs, you read Lovecraft, and everyone, I hear everyone, oh, it just is some formless monster. He actually explains a lot of stuff about feelings and atmosphere and stuff like that. And then the other part that comes into it is the Edgar Rice Burroughs. Listen to like the pulp stuff that's out there, and you're like, man, that it actually they can use like one sentence to paint like an entire city And it may be
Yeah,
different
like
for each of us,
sometimes-
but it really inspires the imagination, and that's what we're lacking
Sometimes
nowadays.
pulp-
No,
Sometimes pulp literature is florid and technicolor from one point of view, and then from another point of view, it's actually really rich and like pulls you into the story. Like the thing is, like if I read something, like I try to approach it at a level of like I don't know anything. So like when I wanted to learn about the Civil War, I literally started with a comic book about the Battle of Gettysburg. So it's like this is like the most basic jumping
Or read
on
it.
point, you know?
Read an
like-
Osprey book, get the very basic historical.
yeah,
Osprey
then I
book.
move on to something. Then I move on to something like that, and then I might watch a couple of movies, and then I'll like start to like deepen it with like a book or two, you know, like a proper.
well,
text.
I think the Osprey book I got on the Zulus, you know, for the stuff that was in the
Mhm.
1800s. I mean,
Mhm.
you know, the problem that you had is in most cases it was stuff that was not taught in school. It was somewhere else. You know, one of the best things that I learned was, you know, my father, of course, had the old Time Life books for World War II,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah,
was
that-
cool. And then I watched when A&E used to have their documentary stuff. So I really loved their World War I series. That I you know, I know that was done at a different time, but you know, when they got it and put it in syndication, they did stuff for Vietnam. And then to understand some of it is I liked playing the war games because when you played the war games, you began to understand and sometimes how these commanders thought if it was a good war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
combat mission, man. That was one of my Beyond Barbarossa.
Yeah, that's a great
no.
game.
Oh, I'm sorry, Beyond Overlord. Man, that
Yeah.
was, you know, if you're willing to sit there with the computer stuff, man, that was really cool watching it. And then you see the tank go over and it pops the
Yep.
smoke and then it pulls back. You're like, come on, Panther, don't hit me, don't hit me. And then you're like, oh, thank God, it just went ping. You know,
That's a
and I
great
like the
game.
fact that it had some of the armor distances and penetration. You know, it was the cool stuff. Like you learn things that only like really geeky nerds really go down into of like, oh, well, what is the percentage chance that it will penetrate this plate? You know, that kind of thing at such and such angle.
The only thing that disappointed me with Osprey is that a lot of their digital books, they printed the plates in black and white. So I was just like, well,
What?
I actually buy like half of these for the color plates because then I go, see, here's a justification for some really crazy color scheme that no one wants to use except for me. Like turquoise French musketeers or whatever. Like, yeah, let's go.
Well, I'd even
But-
put it to you that most people, not most, but a lot of people buy Osprey books specifically for the cover.
Yeah,
plates.
yeah, but the digital ones, like half the color plates were reproduced in black and white, and I was like, oh man.
Is that some sort of like keeping the artwork from being digitally?
I have no
used
idea
or
because it
something?
was such a haphazard way that it was done, and like so many of their other books still kept the color reproduction, so I wasn't really sure. It might have been a budget thing, who knows? But it might have been a format thing. But I was much happier with them in print. Let's just put it that way. I bought some in print, and then
Are they
much
paying by
nicer.
the pixel now?
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt bad because like if there's a company I've given a lot of money to over the years, it's probably Osprey. Like, you know.
I used to have a bunch of Osprey stuff back in the
Yeah,
90s.
Jackie's compiling quite a nice little Osprey library thanks to Graham.
I mean, I like the Osprey stuff for their military. You know, the stuff before World War One. I like their stuff for Osprey, but I also have a couple of their RPGs in there, which I need to go back
Their
and read
RPGs
some.
are good. Their board games are good. Their card games are good. They do an amazing job overall. Like, I really love Osprey, but like, man, I was like, I wanted to see whether or not I could get away with pink trousers, and you stole that from me. You stole my pink trousers.
Well, see, I
do it.
like the. Go ahead, Brian. It was.
Oh no, I was just responding.
Well, we'll see. I like the lance neck. You know, it's always funny. Well, who would wear that big floppy hat and blah blah blah? And I went, did you see on how they used to dress in the Middle Ages? It's like
You gotta understand that's drip. That's like I'm here to lop your head off.
Well, I mean,
You know?
look at the Israelis, but they wear those big old like fucking Gucci helmet cover things, or whatever.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but this was in
What's
the
up,
middle of
TCG?
battle. But this was in the middle of battle with you, like the Landsneck. Is they had the, they had the square, pants that are like black and
Yeah.
white, and then they wore the big feather. I mean, they look like pimps that are getting out there with a long sword and a breastplate.
Mhm.
I mean,
I mean, because camouflage didn't exist because the battle style didn't. It wouldn't
Yeah.
do anything, right? You're walking up to your enemy to stab them. But what did work is putting on your maximum drip, getting that pimp flare, and being, you know who you're fighting. Now
Well,
you
that's-
do.
that's
It's
true.
us. Be afraid.
It's enemy
Yeah.
identification, and it's identification for your commanders to see who the fuck is where and what's going on, because they don't have radios and stuff, and that's how they see their troops and the uniforms that they're in and their flags.
Well, it was
Mhm.
well, it was
Know
the
where the hell they're at.
horns. It was the horns and the flags. I even stuff about when there what was it a biography years ago about Hannibal, and you look at some of the stuff, and the problem that we have, and admittedly we don't want to really deal with this for the game, but man, logistics is the most important thing, and people keep forgetting about that. Oh, so and so did this. It's like, Rommel would have done a lot better if he had better logistics. It's people forget about all that, and boy, it makes a big
Even in-
difference.
Logistics wins war.
Even at the level of like the skirmish game, it's great to have something like an ox cart or a pile of barrels or a truck or something to fight over. You know what I mean? Like, there are a lot of sci-fi games that I love, but like there aren't great options. This is another reason to get into printing. There aren't great options for like cheap transports for them, and I'm like, not a huge treadhead, but I'm like, if I play a sci-fi game, I like to imagine that the army got there somehow. You know
Yeah,
what I
I'll tell you, there's a fantastic account on Colts called A Nerd's Nerd that has tons of shit on it for free.
That's right.
Check that shit out.
I did make that the prime movers was something I wanted specifically to have. So I made supply carts for each team. I made transports for each faction. I made their little prime movers to tow stuff around. Because I'm like, okay, in game already, you can get this big ass artillery gun, but you don't have anything to tow it with, and you don't have an
Right,
ammo
yeah.
cart. That doesn't make sense.
When you think about how incredibly like overpowered archers are in like the majority of fantasy and like medieval and ancient war games, like it'd be nice to add the balance of like giving them a limited number of shots until they make contact with the arrow cart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
Like-
if you look at some of them, and we most of the time whenever we talk about this, we're talking about longbowmen, which were pretty much only the English. The rest of the Europeans had bowmen, but they were not the well-trained bowmen that you did for the longbow.
And
Mass arrow
crossbowmen and like primitive
Crafty.
handgunners.
Well, no.
You know.
Crossbowmen they had, but those were special mercenary units. What they did not want to train was their average freeman on how to use the bow, because then they could
Yeah.
rebel against them. But the other part was
the edge of the 100 Years' War English is definitely in having like obligation to train with the bow, like in place of like, well, you guys want to have a football side, you're gonna have to like do the bow like 3 days a week as well. Like,
well, that was from the 1300s under what was it, Edward III? I think he was the one that set that up. But if you look at that, but look at what the Greeks had, where they talk about the arrows came so frequently that it was basically it blotted out the sun, for the Thermopylae. And how many of them died from arrows? No, they got broken because people went in behind them and attacked them, because they were wearing heavy armor and they just hid behind this stuff. Have any of you watched Todd's Workshop and looking at some of the bows and stuff, that how they go through shields? I mean,
Oh yeah.
I mean, when
I
you
haven't
look,
seen
but
that
that's
show, but
like you'll
I've
never
seen
even touch the sides with YouTube and like demonstrations of things like that. Like,
yeah,
it's just-
they're silently killing any kind of weapon channels or anything like that.
really?
Yeah, YouTube.
I don't know. I haven't noticed that much, because for his and a few others, I haven't noticed any problems. But you're right for that. But you get that. What's the atlatl? I mean, come on, that's a weapon that people don't talk about. But that goes what? I've seen him go 300 yards plus.
What is it? I missed the name.
The atlatl.
What's that?
I thought that was the goofy looking lizard.
No, that's the stick that you
Native
throw another
American-
stick with.
No,
It's a
that's the
stick
ox.
used to throw.
That's the salamander thing that looks like that. No, that's the ox.
Isn't that the stick that you use to throw another stick?
Yeah.
Okay,
it
it gives it the leverage.
Aborigines,
Yeah.
Aborigines
spear.
had a similar thing. It's like a couched, like throwing spear, like
Gotcha.
extension. You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
what you're talking about.
Oh, I mean, if you do that, and then the other part is you're talking with bows, but they talked about what was it? The English longbowmen would literally go through an entire cart of arrows in about 15 minutes, and
Yeah.
some of it just comes down to that. A lot of it was just luck and where it hit, because
I
really
wish
they couldn't penetrate armor past about 50 yards.
I wish games like made a lot of missile flyer like less lethal but way more disruptive. If you know
Which one?
if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like particularly storms of arrows. Like I wish that like people would push that phase to like the start of the turn, right? So you have your exchange of arrows, and
It's like
I
a
wish
preliminary barrage.
yeah, every turn, like if your guys have the ammo, they can fire a volley. But like I think in most cases, particularly against other foot, it should be less lethal and more disruptive. Like it pins them, it slows them down, it confuses them, it breaks up their formation, that kind of thing. You know, like
Well, there were stories during the Crusades where they talked about the guys just coming in with their what was that? What was the never forgetting the armor, but the basically the cloth armor that they had.
like
a Gambit?
they use
Yeah,
Tabard or-
a Gambesson.
like a padded, like a quilted jacket kind of thing.
Yeah. But what was interesting is that it literally had arrows. They talked about arrows were just stuck all the way through as they're marching through, because when you have long range, it doesn't have that great of penetration. I saw where speaking of, because I do like reading some white papers. See, white papers are easy for me. They're 10 pages. But they were showing the
but do you have professional
Lemler
access?
armor.
Do you have professional access to like journals and stuff? Because like I've seen stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, like it is like a preview.
Well, some of
You
it
know,
is
like-
that I work for government, so we're allowed to get certain, but no, some of it is it was they actually tested it.
What's a white paper, real quick? Just kind of like a summary, like a government summary or something?
No.
It's
A white
like
paper.
an abstract of a study. Like,
Well, it's
explains their
usually
finding.
it's a journal article is what it is they put in a journal of whatever, and this one they did it with the cloth armor that the Greeks used.
Mhm.
And they did it with so many, and they were testing on like what could go through it, and it was amazing on like what it stopped. Now it wouldn't stop modern steel arrows, but
that wasn't
for the
just
Bronze
cloth,
Age,
that
it
was
stopped
also
all
like
sorts of
pine,
stuff.
That was also like pine resin. Like it was more like NFL pads, like because it's like pine resin, like layered between the.
Well,
linen.
it was linen that I think they used fish glue, which just makes me, again, Shadow would not survive, because of the smell. But it's the but no, they would show in like 10 layers or 12 layers, and then show the weight. But it was, and apparently the like the Mayans had something similar too. But the cloth armor was light. It wasn't, it gave them a lot of flexibility, and we all forget about just how good some of the stuff is, and it's like,
But
oh,
then
okay.
On the other end of the scale, there are certain things that would be lethal, like double-handed weapons, crushing weapons, crossbows and like trained longbowmen. It starts to become, that's when it starts to get really lethal. But yeah, a lot of it is just like the beautiful thing about warfare is like it's just extreme contact sports up until about 1700. You know what I mean?
Well, did you see the no, but I'm talking like with but they actually shot like arrows and stuff into it and stopped the arrows. They did it with the swords. They did they did a few other things out there, but for the cloth armor, I mean, armor, the funny thing is, if you ever watched stuff on TV, it's like armor just goes right through like there was nothing. And then you find out like the reality of armor, and where they're battling for half an hour against each other, and in a tournament.
And they end up dying of exhaustion.
Yeah,
exactly. Or blood loss from small cuts.
It's like they wouldn't have worn that armor if it didn't fucking work. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So there's got to be some sort of reason why they're using it. It must be usable.
Yes, but in Hollywood, it's all made out of cheap tinfoil, and you just die.
in 17th century and like later Renaissance, like before the real modern period, like when people were still using the pike alongside the musket, like before bayonet, basically, breastplates and helmets made a bit of a comeback because the forging process like made steel a bit thicker and a bit harder and like, you know, less prone to like a bit more defensive against shot.
Well, even the
people
Battle of
would-
Waterloo, they had the breastplates on the cavalrymen.
Yeah, for melee,
There's
basically.
Well,
There's
they
a
were
YouTube-
bulletproof. Remember, I've actually seen the you know, where they'd shoot it with the musket,
Mhm.
and you know, they would show that, you know, there's an indentation, and that was bulletproof. That's what it means.
The word bulletproof comes from like 1690 something.
Yeah.
There's a YouTube channel where this guy like just crushes shit in a you know, like a hydraulic press.
Yeah.
And he got like a certain he got like a World War II era like, you know, block of a steel, right? Hardened steel. And then he got a 2020, you know, same size, same, you know, a block of steel. And you know, the World War II one just shattered, right? Just you know, and shattered. But the fucking the modern one, it destroyed the compressor. Just the whole room, like boom, and he's like just explode, like, you know. But yeah, it was just still steel, but it's like over the ages, over the years, you know, the formula's been improved and whatever, and
I was watching something about ironclads that was kind of similar, that compared like they did tests on land, like out of water, and then they're like, actually, when you put them in the deep ocean, like the steel obviously gets a lot colder, so it behaves like completely differently, you know.
Well, so I mean, we had one, and I can't remember all the properties, but there was toughness, there was durability. There were like several things, you know. There's the cyclic, you know, and there's a whole thing with the material science, and you know, that's one of the things that, like, you know, whenever they talk about body armor, you can get steel, but it's heavy, but it you know, it can stop bullets repeatedly, whereas the ceramic just starts shattering, you know, time. And then, you know, when we were talking when I was going through INTAC class, when we were like ramming vehicles and stuff, they would show us on how bullets would affect bulletproof glass, and you know, like, but you know, people don't realize bulletproof glass is like this thick. And the other part is, if anyone ever wants to know this, is if you're ever doing a role-playing game and they're chasing you in a bulletproof car, they're easy to just push over and roll. Because they're so heavy, they're so top heavy. Like,
oh my god!
I had some friends that were in Iraq, and they were on those up armored Humvees, right? The like armored ones.
Yeah,
they couldn't even get up the fucking curb. The damn thing was so fucking heavy. They couldn't drive up curbs. They're having so much trouble.
I don't know if Nerd. Well, I assume Nerd did this, but when they you did the rollover, right?
Yeah, we did the dunk rollover.
Oh, okay.
Absolute hell.
Yeah, but well, you know, so we did that. You know, that's whenever we go overseas, they'd have to make us do the rollover for the, you know, the Humvees and then the MRAPs. And I had to.
The Humvee one was easy. Sorry,
yeah.
The helicopter one is into water and they flip it, and that's one I had to do.
Yeah. I meant the Humvees and the MRAP ones.
Yeah, I did the Humvee course as well. So they did that. We had the oscillating terrain, so you bounce back and forth, and then it flips over at the end.
Yep. Or they might flip it over twice.
I think those might actually be tougher than like most of it.
Well, you know, unfortunately, one of my father's co-workers' sons died from an MRAP rollover because they didn't pull him in fast enough, and it just rolled over and crushed him. You know, and you know, we were. Yeah, it's people don't understand. You know, there's certain times like, okay, do this, do that. And
my grandfather worked for Black Hawk Sikorsky and used to be a helicopter salesman. So yeah,
oh my God, those guys are the worst. You thought car salesmen are bad? Fucking helicopter salesmen.
Well, so
he had a glass eye. He was in naval intelligence in World War II.
So part of it is
in the Philippines for most of it.
Wild dude. Well, this was years ago. This was right before the first Gulf War, and my father, they were they had the what was it? I guess it was, I don't know if it was Sikorsky or Boeing or no, I think it was McDonnell Douglas, because I think they had the contract for the Apache. But they're like, oh, you don't have to go to war because you're a civilian. And my father just starts laughing. He says, nope, he has to go with us because it's under warranty. So he has to fix it, which means he has to be right there with us in the middle, right, as close as you can into the battle lines. But of course, they could wear long hair and everything else. That was a great thing about civilians. Man, they hated me so much. I had this big bushy beard, and they're just like, "You got to shave that off." I'm like, "Are you gonna give me a gun?" They're like, "No." I said, "Well, I'm keeping the beard."
The closest I've come to that sort of thing is like working on a battlefield heart monitor. I think I had to like repair one in my whole like career.
Oh, it's good though. At least you fixed it, right?
Yeah, of course.
He's like,
I took that job very seriously because it's just like the last thing I want is, oh yeah, the guy died because the equipment broke.
I was just thinking like I could never test it. They kept giving me dead people. Yep, it's still flat.
I'm always amazed to hear like people who actually served, like what their take on games and stuff is, but they often seem the most relaxed about like abstract rules and things being a little bit unusual.
You're not actually being shot at.
Yeah. I mean, I remember some guy going like who was actually in a battle that had been on display at a British library, and like, the young guys kind of asked him how he felt about it, like, or like didn't know he was going to be there for the event. And he said, oh, I'm just happy that you're remembering it, really. Like, like it doesn't matter how realistic or unrealistic it is. I couldn't tell what was going on most of the time, to be honest with you. Like,
so when I was in Afghanistan, most of the, we had every evening, the guys who'd been deployed 5 or 6 times, they would come over to play Call of Duty, and we'd all be sitting there playing Call of Duty in the war zone, to relax. And I just had to, it's because it's a game and you understand that, and it allows you to.
My brother was in East Timor, like just as a reservist, like doing peacekeeping and in the Solomons. And I was like, did you have to kill anyone? Like, because there were paramilitaries everywhere. Like, it's a bit of an immature question, but it was a long time ago. And he said, like, honestly, I have no idea.
It's funny because I used to play a buddy of mine. We used to, when we were getting into World War II wargaming. He was a Marine. He was a gunny sergeant Marine in the infantry, right? And so, he had practical infantry, training and all that shit. He was deployed during Desert Storm, I think. And dude, he sucked as a war gamer. I'm like I would trounce him. I'm like, dude, just put your fucking real world infantry, tactics under the table. And he's like, okay. I fucking would trounce him every fucking time. It was like weird.
Well, so you know what some of it is, and I hate saying this, is, some of that's really meant for your officers rather than your enlisted. It's like,
exactly.
But the problem is that sometimes your officers don't understand. Like my grandfather talked about, there was a lieutenant he had, and I guess they got ambushed.
He was a gunny, though. He wasn't an officer.
Well, that's my point.
So the problem here, right? The U.S. military is not currently trained to fight symmetrical warfare. We are trained to fight when we have air superiority, we have artillery superiority, we have fire superiority, and then we engage.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other part too. Is I'm gonna, going back to my grandfather's story about that lieutenant. Is they got ambushed, and he specifically said, "Is I sent someone else to do a job I should have done myself." And because there's a reason they call them platoon leaders, is they're expected to go in front. And
I mean, I even watched Prince Philip like be interviewed about a naval battle he was involved in, and he was like an officer, like a lieutenant commander or something like that, and he was actually doing the watch. He was doing all the dirty jobs that everyone else was doing, making all the dirty jokes, getting the same tattoos, You know what I mean?
Well,
And
I
they
mean, come
asked
on, he
him
was
what
only
he-
with Epstein.
Yeah,
They
but-
asked him what he. Well, I'm sure he did like suck the stem cells out of like puppies, no question. But you know, they asked him about the eve of battle, and he's like, honestly, it's so smoky and so loud, and there's so many lights
What
like
fucking
blowing this
battle
way
was
and
he
that.
in?
A naval battle,
Falklands?
and he's
The
like,
Falklands
"Well, the
War?
Germans are shooting at us from over here, so I guess we better bloody well start firing back." You know, like it was kind of like. It seems like a lot of it is like it is hard to kind of piece together what it's really like. You know what I mean? Even when you're there, it's like, you know,
Well,
you're just trying to like pay attention to what's going on.
Well, it's just like when you're shooting. You know, everyone talks about, oh, I can hit this, I can hit that. I said, okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to run at full speed until you can barely, you know, breathe, and now try getting your heart rate down and shoot properly.
Well, I heard
And
the
you're
big
being
one-
shot at. You're
Yes,
trying
heard
not
the
to pace
biggest thing
yourself
is-
as you're trying to aim.
yeah.
the
Yeah, when
biggest
my
thing is
brother said,
you don't even
when
know
my
where the
brother
fuck
said-
they are. You don't have a clear target like you do downrange.
You hear
just, like,
snap, crackles,
you're
and
just
dust,
shooting at
and maybe
shit,
your buddy
yeah.
goes down, and you find cover, and you're in fight or flight. Your brain turns off. You get tunnel vision. It is not the same thing as shooting at the range.
Yeah.
Well,
You
the
shoot in
other
a certain direction. You know. Like,
Well,
it's-
the other part is what is it? Typically, it's 70% of all casualties are caused by artillery. You know,
Oh,
you
yeah.
you know you're calling in artillery more than you are. You know, everyone treats this as just like your real job is just suppress the enemy. That's what most of these are for. Is you're trying to suppress the
just
enemy,
like,
and you're
just
lucky
like
if you kill
Nerd
them.
said, is like you know the fire team is suppressing the enemy, and it's like, hey,
We had,
coordinates, blah 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 blah.
I think we had
Wow,
more
we killed 'em.
casualties. I think we had more casualties in Timor from like misfiring Steyr, like light machine guns than like actual like being shot at. Like my brother was like, honestly, I have no idea if I actually
They're
hurt
using
anybody. Like we were just
Steyr
firing
hogs?
into trees. Yeah, that's what Australian Army uses. It's like the Steyr because it's nice
Did they
and
really?
light.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we're like light infantry dudes, man. That's how we do stuff.
Well, but
Quick.
here's the other part that comes into it is when you start looking at it, is I don't know if you guys watched the friendly fire incident during the Gulf War with the Apache
Yeah.
pilot.
Is
Is he had all the time in the world, and they found out the reason that they got a letter of reprimand was because he was not supposed to be in a helicopter, but he did nothing wrong. If you watch the video, he says, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And the guy in the back's like, "Yeah, go ahead. You know, you're clear. They're not over there." And then he sends a few rounds into that Bradley, and that's it. Unfortunately. And then they start getting like friendly, hey, we got attacked with this, and that's when it hit him. But
I thought it was a British. I thought they hit a British.
no, it was an American. Well, this one was an American. Well, it's Bradley, so it's an American. But yeah, it's that was during the first Gulf War. It's what is it? 25% of all casualties in war from friendly fire. It's something horrendously high.
Wow.
Yeah, people don't. Well, the other part is like a nerd is talking about. You see movement, you start shooting. Then they respond by shooting back. And I think there was one with an 82nd Airborne Division where the only reason that they found out was friendly fires. They called in the same artillery in two different directions. Like, are you sure?
Well,
And then
even in Sharp, which is basically Napoleonic like era, the whole thing of like fragging an officer who's just continually making bad decisions is like always on the card.
Yeah, but this isn't.
You know?
We're not talking about that. We're talking about units, especially if it's dark or something like that. They don't identify each other, and they start shooting at each other, and they keep firing, and then they call in I think this happened where they were on two sides of the bridge. It was the 82nd Airborne Division, I believe, and they're calling in, and it wasn't until both of them had called in the artillery that the artillery's like, something doesn't sound right, and they call back.
It happens by pure accident because you're dealing with really destructive weapons there as well. But I mean, like, even like I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Stalingrad, where the guy shoots his best friend by mistake, and he's like absolutely distraught, and the guys like around him are like, "Look, dude, do you understand how many times this just happens by accident?" Like, You know, especially when
Like,
you're
put
clearing
yourself in the situation. You're in a
house to
combat
house,
zone. You're walking. You're on alert, but nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Couple
Yeah.
bullets ring out. Your buddy drops. You look around to see where it came from, and you see one person
Yeah.
moving. They're holding a rifle. Are you gonna radio to see if it's friendly, or are you gonna shoot at them?
Yeah.
It's true.
Oh,
I was really interested in this war game until I found out it didn't have like any pinning, any psychology, any morale in it. I was like, this sucks. I'm like,
hey,
this is, like, so
are you talking about
important, you know?
Warhammer 3? You know, the
No,
third edition, 40K,
no,
third edition,
it's just
and
like
later?
a little boutiquey little
Yeah.
polish thing. I don't want to run it down because some people might get a kick out of it. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I was like, oh man, they took that out. That's like kind of a big deal, you know?
Well, it's this is one of the things I liked about, what was it? Not that I've ever played or looked at the rules, but my understanding was what, Kings of War, where they talk about morale. It was like morale is your biggest thing to determine if a unit breaks, not the number of casualties as much. You know, it's
Yeah,
you know.
like Kings of War is. I personally love Kings of War because of it's not a figure removal game. You know, it's more about like a unit has a footprint. So like 12 models to a base kind of thing. It's lovely, like a nice mass combat game. You know.
Nice
Well,
mask.
back to what you're saying is, as long as it looks pretty on the board, I don't want to. I don't have to have a 1-to-1 representation. I just have to get the feeling that
No,
it's like a
but
real
a
battle.
base of like 20 or 30 goblins does look very nice.
I
Like-
didn't say it, but I don't. But I'd rather represent like 200 goblins as long as it looks
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
if I have
of course. I mean, that's the inference is that you're dealing with just a lot of goblins.
I still love
a metric shitload.
well, what is it? Is it what is the final battle between Hannibal and Scipio Africanus? Is it the Battle of Zama?
Zama, yeah, Zama.
Yeah. I mean, come on. You got the elephants, and then the Romans blow the horns at the last minute.
Dude, I found someone who makes Numidian elephants, like elephants with Numidian riders, so I can put them in my Caesarian army.
Okay.
I'm getting elephants, baby. I'm getting elephants. Elephants rock.
They were the secret weapons of the ancient world, that's for sure.
Elephants rock.
You know what I want to see more of, and too bad we don't do this, was the Indian, when the Indian battles were doing everything, because they have all the cool stuff in there as well, like rockets, elephants,
chariots.
There's
chariots were mostly
chariot and
Egyptian,
elephant.
wasn't it?
Well, you'd have the chariots going on the sides while the elephants are moving through the middle. Oh, come on!
Well, the Romans did have like anti-elephant carts that were like big wicker, like basically like battle wagons with dudes with
Filled
like
with
long
mice?
spears. No, they were. That's cute. I actually
Pigs
like
on
that for a
fire?
fantasy game. You know, like why not?
Well, no.
If people can do teddy bear versions of 7 Years War between like Austria and Prussia, you can do that.
Well, no. I mean, if you look at the Romans, they would get a bunch of the pigs, and then they would light them on fire and send them towards the enemy.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I'm like, is that maybe best represented like a unit of beasts in hordes of the things? And can I just use pigs and like put like maybe like Vallejo mud on their backs and just have like a dude in a toga with a torch? Like, like I've been thinking about it.
Why don't you make it on fire?
Is there a flaming pig?
No.
Big model out there in 28 mil. I need to know.
After
I have thought about it. I love putting those.
Just take a hot glue gun and pull, make strands of and whisk.
After watching MJ work his magic on the mesh, like adding like drops of like beads of glue for like little details, I'm like, if he can do that, like why not flames like that?
But see, you need to do that one. You need to, and people forget how big pigs get. They think the pigs only get to like 100 or 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And the pigs get up like that 700 to 800 pounds.
Well, the thing is, the Gaul faction, like Warlord made war dogs for them with like a handler, and that's pretty cool. I'm probably going to buy some of those when I have the money.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It'd be cool. I love all those little extra things. Like you build your boring army, of like 100 spearmen, and then you're like, oh, that's over. And then you go, right, now I can add like historical personalities, animals, camp followers, like allies from different nations where I don't necessarily want to build an ancient Spanish army, but I love their armor. And like a unit of them would be cool. Like, you know?
Well, no, if you do the Spaniards, you got to have like a small group of Spaniards with cannon on the, and then you got to give them with the 10,000
like
natives. With the
these are
10,000
like the
natives behind
Celtic.
them.
These are like the Celtic tribes that lived in Spain before it was Latinized. So they have like a completely unique culture and look about them.
What wasn't that
like,
the very
really unique? Like lots of light infantry and heavy cavalry, like cool curved swords and stuff. Really unique.
Oh,
they
was
fought
it
alongside
Balear's
Hannibal.
Stingers? What were that? Slingers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to like put a piece of bread on the target and say you can't eat until you knock the bread off. Like, you know.
You know what bothers me is I was looking at stuff, and apparently the slings were as dangerous or more dangerous than the arrows at the time, and because they would make it out of they make the bullets. They would make the sling bullets out of lead, and they would go as far
like
further than the arrows.
Yeah, with proper cast shot are like lethal, and they have like really good range. Oh my god!
Yeah, the benefit of the bow was not in.
I'll do it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there.
You have to with James. No,
So I was saying the benefit of bows over even the over slings and the the Adel is that it's reserved energy rather than like lethality. It's not as good as killing, but you can hold and the precision of the aim because it's reserved energy rather than this same momentum as kind of loading it.
Well, yeah, you can shoot off a huge number of arrows in the same amount of time as it takes to go with one sling bullet. But you know, I really enjoyed playing Total War Rome. You know, that was when it first came out. I was like, oh yeah, this is cool.
So Shadow, how does it feel to be around all these intellectual motherfuckers? Talking about this science shit.
No,
we're all just pretending.
No.
You guys could be. I'm like, really? What?
I'm actually.
I have no flipping idea.
With the you know what you guys were talking about with the slings and bows and that sort of thing. I was a moment ago chatting with some person trying to get into the show, but I had to vet them, and then they started doing some really weird stuff.
Like cool weird, like being.
Yeah,
like
I think that was the same person who tried to sneak in before, and they just picked a different name because that was weird. I was reading that chat.
No, this was a woman. Yeah, you guys probably didn't see what I saw. Yeah,
I saw. I think I was reading the private chat, and I was laughing pretty hard. But I'm wondering, like, there's no way to validate this is who they say they are, right? In String Guide, you can just say you're whoever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I checked out their channel. They said they were a prepper. It kind of looks like they're a prepper. But I'm not sure how long this show's going to go. And I always have to vet new people before I let them on, just in case, because of previous experiences. And it's just the way it has to be. You never know what you're going to get when someone comes on like that.
It's like have you ever seen The Goon? His buddy has that radio show, and some guy keeps calling in, and it's like a public access show, and he keeps like ask some questions, and then he's like start cussing and
it
stuff.
Reminds me of poor Nathan and Raven having to deal with that Australian guy who was like extremely crazy. He was a wild man. I was like, oh my god, where does this guy live? Because like I need to move 10,000 kilometers further away.
He's like, I have a choice between great white sharks, poisonous octopi, and or this guy. Like,
poor Nathan. They're like two gentle souls, like just gently trying to navigate this guy, like getting more and more wild and like inappropriate. I was like ashamed on his bar.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, kind of like
Pretty
that.
wild. Yeah. So sometimes you do have to be careful because there's some wackos out there.
Absolutely, you never
Look it
know
up.
what's going to happen, and there's weird people out there that don't have our best interests.
It's like, what is the worst thing that could happen, though? Seriously,
He gets kicked off and he loses his channel.
how would he get
he
kicked
wants
off?
to keep it going. He wants to keep it going.
They
That's the
hop in
thing.
and immediately stream like CP or something incredibly insane. Boom, your
Oh,
channel.
Yeah,
is off.
yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
I'm not taking any chances. Jackie be devastated, and he's got a new
Yeah,
show
'cause then
coming
you'd
up
have
on
to start-
Mondays.
You'd have to start over. You'd have to start over, and it'd, like take a while to find everyone and everything. Like
Mhm.
fuck.
Yeah, that would suck.
Hey, Nerd, what are you working on for your next thing for your channel?
So I'm mostly
yeah.
here. I've said it before. I'm mostly here for the social aspect. I've got a BattleTech video that I've halfway made. I need to go in and finish and upload at some point.
Oh, I was thinking that you need to do the equivalent of what you do with Hungar, for Brian or Shadow here.
Hell,
No,
You know?
no,
So here's the difference, right? A couple
Yes.
people have brought this up. Each of
Okay.
you are persons. Hungar is a character.
Yeah.
Hungar is a force of nature.
Yes,
right.
yes.
no.
He's
Who is your
deserving of such
BattleTech?
honor.
Who is your BattleTech house? It's like asking someone's star sign. I know. Right.
So I am one of the scumbags who believes that the clans that have existed for 98% of BattleTech's history are valid and legit. And my go-to faction is Clan Jade Falcon.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting. Interesting. Okay. See, because I have a pretty non-judgmental view of lore because I've seen people argue over history and
Who are the hedonist outer clan? Who are the hedonist guys?
I really like Ghost Bear. I really like Ghost Bear and Smoke Jaguar and Star Adder when it comes to the clans.
I like those as well. I have a small Ghost Bear faction. I painted some of their minis up and I play them. I think they're super cool. And I love Smoke Jaguar. They make such a good, clean villain, right? It's just they're there to have war and they're going to do it.
Are those the Mongol guys? Looking guys? Or...
I
So
think
the
I'm gonna do
Mongols
my
and the
guys.
Jade Falcons during a small period of time where one lady takes over and she's insane and tells them to stop murdering civilians.
Well,
Yeah, I watched.
think I'm gonna do
Justin
my-
sent me a video about the history of the inner whatever
Sphere.
sphere.
Yeah, it's fun. I
So,
think I'm gonna
I
do
watched
my
that.
Alpha Strike dudes, the clan dudes in there as Ghost Bear, just because I want to do a clan faction that has a reputation of being a bit more humane and introspective about their approach. You know what I mean?
Right, and you only
because
get two
I feel
options.
people.
You can be Ghost Bear or Scorpions.
Yeah. I
When-
feel
when,
people kind of people rag on the clan.
The inner core one that was kind of like free democracy or whatever. That's kind of failing in that. What's that one?
Free Worlds
Maverick.
League, probably. They believe in
Yeah, the
democracy,
World
but
League.
they're always at war with themselves.
Hey, here's the problem that you gotta go with the Scorpion because you have to have your music when you're flying in the aerotech of rock like a hurricane, so
In this year, I like
But here's the thing.
Davion.
Lion Scorpion are like Indiana Jones. They're all about digging up ancient temples and expanding mythos. So if you're not into Indiana Jones, you don't like them. Whereas Ghost
So-
Bear
Yeah,
are
yeah.
like Viking family first kind
So
of people.
is the
They
last
kinda make me think of,
Starfighter kind of part of this?
They kind of make me think of
Star
Winter
League was the
War.
thing.
They kind of make me think of Winter War.
So
themes,
what happened
in
is
a weird
Alexander
way.
Kerensky left he went off, they left, and then later on they came back as the clans after they'd done all the genetic manipulation and stuff.
They're
I personally
basically
liked Hal
Space
Steiner
Marines, but
myself.
that's cool.
I
That's
liked
cool.
Hal
Yeah,
Steiner
Steiner
because
is my spear house that I run. I've got a big mixed armed
Mhm.
force that I use for the Lyrans. They have enough flavor to be interesting, but they're not like
Mhm.
cartoon villains like the Capellans or the DCMS.
Kurita.
I like Capellan. I like Capellan because they kind of got that Eurasian solar union. It's what if future expansion was not Western oriented, a kind of more of a BRICS kind of faction, and I like Davion because they're just cheesy good guys.
Oh,
Like-
Davion are not the good guys. They're like, hey,
See, my approach is a little different. I played a little bit of BattleTech back in the beginning. I mean, like a little, but then Dark Age, the HeroClix, click game came out, and me and my buddies got real into it and started looking into everything. And we didn't know anything about this, anti-clan rhetoric that's out there.
Yeah, I didn't get it either.
And I got stuck with Steel Wolves because we would just buy booster cases, and okay, this is any piece that's Jade Falcon, you get. Any piece that's Steel Wolves, I get, and we had all the clans and factions divvied up that way. So whatever I got is what I got. So I played a lot of Steel Wolves. I liked them, and I liked a lot of the lore from the paperbacks. And it wasn't until recently I heard all this, clans or whatever, and I'm like, then why did they make them? Why did the company go from the very first books
to sell
variety?
To sell
just
books.
More variety.
Crazy
No,
that
I'm
people hate it. They treat it like it's this new thing. Like, oh, I played before the clans. Oh, gee, clans came out like 4 years after the original Battle Droids came out. Like it's been it's been there for literally 90% of the time.
Here's the other part.
In terms of the lore, I'm more interested in the Innisphere.
You
I
guys
don't
are just
understand the
walking on
dislike
top of each other. Chill.
No, it's well, a nerd. Here's the important part that comes into it was the I actually like the 2750, but what aggravated me so much is like, why does the modern U.S. Army have much further weapon ranges than these crappy
Ignore ranges.
BattleTechs?
Rangers do not exist in BattleTech. Ignore all of them.
Yeah, well,
And they don't
you know what my view is?
40K either.
Is you multiply it by 10, and then all of a sudden it starts becoming more reasonable. All of a sudden it's like, oh, you can hit 3 kilometers out.
Yep.
And so every hex is 300.
I hand wave it as it's more of a targeting system rather than the weapon range. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It makes about as much sense as the clans invading and they brought like 3,000 mechs total to take over the galaxy.
Just think of it as like effective range in a really smoky, noisy environment.
But it's not though. It's not though. That's my problem. It's my father. You have to realize, is my father was an Apache pilot, and this was during the Gulf War, and I got to see and just how good our thermal night vision was, and you can see little rabbits as they blow
Now
them
imagine all of those rabbits and every enemy combatant had anti-IR coating. You couldn't see anything past 90 meters. That's BattleTech.
Well, that doesn't explain why your AC2s can hit something. No, it's that I'm like, you're really telling me that I can't see something that's like, what is it? Well, of course the heights were too high as well.
I mean, you ship me the 6x6 table or 8x6 table, and I'll play with it. I promise.
Hey, you know what? Is here's what you do: is you do what I do as a child, which is you go up into your yard and you manually dig out little trenches and stuff in the yard, and hope your father doesn't yell at you when he finds out that you've destroyed his, well manicured.
Would I love to do Napoleonics with like 30-man companies? You bet I would, but you got to send me that table over now.
You know what? I have 35 acres. If you need a equivalent board, and then he frozen us.
Hold on, I gotta move my infantry. Jog 30 yards over to pick them up and move them.
That's right. Oh, by the way, they can only move 6 inches, but this is the Battle of the Somme. It's what 70, about a 72, or what is it, 60 with 28 millimeter? What the hell is it now?
Most games I play are 6 foot by 4 foot as a standard board.
I know. Well, I remember years ago we were supposed to be playing the stuff for like the Cold War, and like, okay, you get an MLRS, and if you put on the board, you had to play in an area the size of a parking lot.
Yeah, it's like honestly, if you're not using anti-tank like dedicated direct fire weaponry, it doesn't need to be on the fucking board. Except mortars.
Exactly.
Mortars can be on the board, but artillery, unless you're like line of sight shooting, and then most artillery pieces don't have line of sight fucking optics. They have different kind of optics for that.
And I
So-
think Saddletech did that right, where you can pre-designate my artillery is off board and it's targeting these hexes. It's been dialed in to these hexes, nowhere else.
That was one thing I liked about Combat Mission is you could call in and you'd have to wait for however many turns until it started landing. I'm like, okay. And actually, that was something that Brian and I did when I was over there playing the game.
Yeah.
You know, it gives you enough time to actually like move if you have to, or it's like, okay, I'm going to dig in.
Like if we were playing like my heavy rules, you wouldn't even know that artillery's coming in. I would just like write it down, and then when it came in, if you challenge me, I said, look, I was calling this in this pattern, this type of battery, this number of battery, but yeah,
but then you can have a player who's got a piece of paper in each pocket that all lists different locations.
True. I mean,
I was totally aiming right there.
But I wrote my rules to be friendly players.
When am I going to see those rules?
Well,
we're going to see them this year, I promise.
Well, yeah. Well, see, that's the other part, Brian. Is still need to get you the paint at some point. But no, when we start going over and trying to, what you do is you just simply put down where you want your artillery, and you write down the first move of the game, and like, okay, you have to tell if it's the same place, it's like, okay, you have to do it for 4 turns, the same location. Otherwise, it gets moved.
We have, walking fire, and like if you have a FO, if they can see the incoming round, because you always do a targeting round, you do a ranged round, and then it's usually an HE or a smoke or something. And if they can see where it landed, then they can alter the course from that point. But if it's off, if they're out of their line of sight, they basically have to call in another new strike because they didn't see where they might have heard it in the general area, but they didn't see where it landed, so they got to recall it all in and all that shit.
Well, I had to laugh because my friend who did some sniping over in Afghanistan, he said, man, most of the time we would just sit there and call in artillery. He said, we never shot. He said, we shot if we had to. And that was usually when they were in the base.
Right now, I'm writing rules for artillery, right? And I'm like,
counter battery.
It's going to have to be situational because depending on if it's mortar fire, I don't know if the detections of World War II is going to pick up like small mortar fire. They definitely artillery fire that those detection means. But basically, what it would do, it would limit off-board artillery almost to one fire mission before it was driven off or destroyed by enemy counterfire. So what it would do is
that seems kind of quick.
It does, but if you're talking about and that's the thing, it has to almost be situational because a lot of times you're not going to have that kind of,
what happened to James?
Deployed artillery observation posts, that are in that specific area.
Take care, James.
Well, I'm still working with them. I'm just still trying to feel it out. So,
because World War II, I want to say that was mostly airplane reconnaissance and like radio intercepts to try and identify where the artillery batteries were, because they were at too far range to use like flash identification, but you didn't have the best radar and sound to triangulate.
They had. They did I think it's more of like an engineering thing, trajectory alignment or whatever.
Were you doing triangulation?
The triangulation was the most common. Early war, it was like sound detection and sight detection. But that shit ain't worth a damn because if you're not in the specific perfect spot, you're not going to see anything or hear anything.
Give your lady a big hug from all of us. She's a great sport to put up with us.
Oh, see, James.
She's hearing all this weirdness.
So here's the other part: is how many rounds do they have? We have part is because at a certain point, artillery can only be used for so much. The other part is you still have to, if you don't have the forward observer, that was the other thing too. Is like, well, do you have artillery for this mission? How many times do you have to shoot?
In my game, it's not necessarily you have to have a dedicated FO, but it's got to be some sort of command. Chain of command, because you're low. Maybe sergeants might have the ability and even the map coordinates on them to be able to call in that kind of strike. But if you had a corporal come up and take he wouldn't probably have that kind of
Well, Well, part of it is the FO, because my father did that when he was a lieutenant. You have that, but you're right. You have to get the commander. He's calling it in. He's giving
And
a
another
location.
thing-
Here's the other part. You need to make sure that they don't get it. Is that there has to be a chance for that they screw it up and the artillery falls on the guy calling it.
Yeah. So, and another thing is like certain armies didn't have like Americans had awesome communications, right? So they could call in like regimental or even like battalion level artillery, at like platoon level, right? But when you got into the German army, you had to be in company level or higher to call in because platoon level didn't have that communication element to call in for that kind of fire. It had to be a higher echelon, of command. So, and there's different belligerents didn't have that radio net or that kind of communication net that certain others did. So
You mean the Italians? The Italians who lacked a lot of radios and stuff?
yeah, dude.
I mean, how do you not put radios on your ships? That
Well,
should
so,
not be that hard.
And that's like another reason why a lot of let's say like the Japanese, although they had decent communications, they would saturate their units with like knee mortars, because they have that internal that almost platoon element of like a substantial amount of fucking indirect fire. So they didn't have to use that kind of higher chain of command calling in for artillery from in the back. So anyway, yeah, so it gets complicated if you want to go true war, realistic. But
What you do is you make it generic and say what level of competence or whatever it has in there, what's available.
How realistic do you need your game to be? I mean,
well, look,
enough to feel that you're fighting the battle correctly.
Like
if
you contact regiment, their artillery elements are going to be different. Like if you got divisional level artillery, you might have like 155s, like long toms, right? But if you only got let's say regimental or even I don't know, battalion or let's say company, you might just have like 120 millimeter mortars access. So it depends on like the communication net at the time, and that's all kind of pre-game, like
yeah, exactly. That's part of the pre-game in there. But this is what it comes down to is this for me. If you're playing a game, is it needs to feel like you can use real tactics to win the battle. If it feels like this is why I hate 40K is you get all these people and they stuff them all behind this one little building and like that it looks ridiculous. It's just like with
not going to happen.
Well, it's just like you have Brian talking about where they have the tanks just lined up right next to each other. It's like no, this is why you just have enough in there that you can get the feel without it really becoming that's the problem I have with 1-to-1 or
it's
with
like
things
a advanced sci-fi setting. You should never engage in close combat. Your shooting ranges should be so far and so lethal that running towards the enemy is not what you want to fucking do. You want to stay
Or
behind.
the complete opposite. Either weapons or armor has won. So Dune style shields where you're basically immune to weaponry, they have to get up close and stab you. Or it's to be all mound range. You never even see the guy. A computer tells you they're there. You push a button, they're gone.
And that's true. And then that might be a reason, like the BattleTech, the armor, and like even like with shields, it forces these units to engage in close combat because like you said, the armor and firepower have been neutralized in whatever way, and now it's just fucking brute force. You got to just smack. But yeah, I mean,
or you nuke them
like
the only way to be sure.
but here's the point.
Thing.
It's why would you nuke something? What gets me bad is they're like, we're fighting over resources. Why would I nuke something if I want their resources? I mean, it kind of defeats the purpose in certain cases.
Well, because fighting over resources in space is ludicrous.
Well, when you have like orbital fucking, weapon platforms, you should be fucking orbital striking the hell out of shit. You know what I mean? Why aren't you calling
in BattleTech? I want to say it was Clan Widowmaker. They use an orbital strike. And in the clans, wasting resources is a huge no-no because where they're at is the super barren place. So every other clan, 19 of them, ganged up and killed them to the last man, wiped out their genetic code to erase them from the history books
Damn.
for using an orbital strike to destroy resources.
Okay. So the fluff has allowed for the mechanics to work in a more realistic fashion because although realistically they would be fucking orbital striking, but now you've got the story that prevents you from doing that. So
well, and here's the funny thing.
Exactly.
Why would you do anything? Is what you would do is you just hook up some rockets onto asteroids, and you would just pelt the ground, which is what they did in Babylon 5. You know, where they basically were using.
Didn't they do that in Starship Troopers too? The bugs are sending.
Sounds like
asteroids.
bug talk.
Yeah, bug talk.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that's what you start.
But you know,
well,
it's like in my game, I want Nerd to be able to play a super fucking detailed, realistic game if she wanted to. But I also want Omen to come in and just throw some dice and then a quick beer and pretzel. It's totally up to you. There's no hard line rules that make you do anything. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Well. See, for me, it's like, look, there are times I want to do it and times I don't. And as I get older, even for Brian, it's like, well, Brian, we're gonna have to play 8 hours today, and that's cool when you're a bachelor and you have like the space, with your den. But it's a little bit different. This is one of the reasons I like those, those gaming tables that they have. It's like, oh, look, you can now put everything on top, and you can use it as a normal gaming table. No one touches anything underneath, and you can pull everything off when you're ready to play again. Yeah. This is why I joke with my friend who works on the oil rigs. Is with his 400 plus games. I mean, it's literally wall after wall of board games. And he won't give up any of them, which I find hilarious. So like all the Shadows of Brimstone, it's just like, my God, man. And, it's, and then he has them in the bathroom, and then he has them in the bedrooms. He has them in the living room. He has them in the dining room. I was like, you never get to play these. And unfortunately, he has like 8 siblings, so he does have a chance to play the games more than like I do. But,
I really enjoy a long fucking game. I mean, don't get me wrong, not every time, but I really like.
What do you mean by
double
long?
blind? Fucking, you don't know what your enemy has. You know what you have. You're starting to deploy, and you run into each. I mean, that fucking shit's fun. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, time is always a factor, and getting 2 people or 3 people together at one time to commit to something like that, it's hard to do.
Well, I mean, it's like, okay, I enjoyed it, but sometimes it's like, well, I can either play one game for 4 hours, or I can play 4 games in one, in 4 hours, and that just depends what you're doing. But I do want, like, if I'm playing a war game, I want it to feel like I can use real tactics without how I want to say, gamifying, oh, do you know the rules? And that way, which is the problem I have with like 40K. Do you know the rules really well, or are you using good tactics? If you're using good tactics, then the rules should encourage you to use it.
40K isn't a game about real world tactics.
No.
It's using the special rules of the mechanics to win the game.
Well, that's my point. Is whereas I want it to actually be like, and this is why I like having, abstract. Hey, this represents a wood, or this represents. It's not just one tree to one. I don't like the 1-to-1. I want it like, okay, look, if you're within 2 inches of the tree, I am assuming that you can be behind the tree. Because you're miniature, unless you're playing with the old GI Joes that had the the kung fu grip where they can lay down on the ground.
It's like in my game, it's like I there's realism, and then there's just playing it. It's like in my game, you have offensive and defensive grenades. If they're defensive grenades, they're fragmentation grenades. If they're offensive, they're concussive grenades, right? So, but like you could move and throw that at the same time, the concussive, because it's not the shrapnel. So anyway, it's for assault troops. But I mean, if you want to go that hard, you can, but you don't have to. You can just say the generic grenade template for this or whatever. And I mean, and we have plunging fire. That's another fucking thing that no one uses, is plunging fire, dude. If you have a machine gun, you don't need to have line of sight. If you have the range, if the enemy's far enough, you can just plunger fire that shit.
It doesn't work like that, though. As having studied some of the sniper stuff, is when you shoot out, you can go out, but because it's coming at such an angle down, there's a lot of times it can't hit you. But I will say this, it's just my grandfather, like mortars. should
Are
have
brutal.
they're not blocked by anything basically. Unless you're in trees and then they're exploding above you, which apparently that's worse than if they just land on the ground near you. Airburst.
now
you know, go ahead, nerd.
You got there before I did. I was just saying that turns it into airburst.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
love you.
You know, you got that. Well, did you ever look at the old XM 130? What they were planning to do with that one? With the old, I think that they did some of it, but you know, when you start getting Mark 40s and you start getting the, you know, when we can pre-program them to airburst with your grenades with your soldiers.
Yeah.
You know,
because they were having it to where like the actual infantryman, the rifleman, can like on his gun before he shoots it, how far above the target it'll airburst. Yeah.
Or how far behind it, or
it
was.
They
cool.
canceled that. They canceled that program.
Yeah, because they said it was too expensive. Like, it's only $130 million. You tell me it's too expensive.
How many other?
All the money went to the F-35 instead.
I don't know, James. I'll have to look it up. I've been looking for it.
Well, no, it went to the littoral ships. You know how well those worked. Which gets me about it is that they had the plans, and I thought that would be kind of cool. But when they said, "Well, we didn't even have the avionics all ready to go and stuff," I went, "Why would you start building a ship before you actually have the components that are supposed to go into it?"
Well, they're thinking they were going to. Are you talking about those weird angular ships?
Well, they're all supposed to be weird angular. No, these were the ones that with the littoral ships, which they only built like 4 or 5, and then they found out the hulls were cracking. I mean, something's wrong with everything that they did about that. And how did you not know?
I think the idea, the strategy behind the Arsenal ship was like, first it was big guns, and then it was all missiles, right? There was like, fuck the gun. We don't need these special badass guns. We'll just use missiles now. But then it's like, why do we have a dedicated missile? I don't know.
But I mean, you already have that with your vertical launch systems. What gets me about the whole thing is that we're talking about like all of the it was supposed to be modular, but they didn't even have the modules ready to go. And so, you know, that was part of the problem instead of doing that one. Well, just like if you look at the Seawolf, a lot of these were supposed to, you know, and then Congress keeps cutting them down as the price goes up. I'm like, yes, the F-35, you know, I'm like, really? You know, now why the we didn't go just pure drones surprised me.
It will. I mean, after this fucking, you know, this war in, you know, Ukraine, dude, people are going to say, why are we putting dudes in an aircraft?
Well, what's interesting is they do both, you know, and that's the problem is at a certain point is you can jam things. And that's apparently where the Russians are causing a lot of problems is with the jamming. So you have to have something that can do that.
But see, the problem with the jamming is that, you know, guess what? You got munitions that dedicatedly go and track the jamming source. So the Russians, they can't have that like constantly on because, you know, those are easy targets. But yeah,
no,
I mean,
and as shallow as an anime as it was, Gundam Wing touched on this subject, I think, so perfectly. The exploration of unmanned combat and why that's such a horrible thing is the one concept I think it explored well. When you remove the cost of human life from war, what's stopping everyone from being at war all the time and turning it into purely a financial thing? The weapons companies are going to keep everyone at war so they can keep selling bullets, and no one's going to object because nobody's dying.
Wait a minute. Remember that just for Shadow here, remember that Star Trek episode where they, you know, you had to go into the pod if it caused so much damage? And so they've been warring for like 200 years.
Oh, yeah.
You know, where they'd say, oh, nuclear strike hits this, 60,000 dead. Please enter your pod if you were one of those that were tagged. And then when he destroyed that, and they went, oh my God, we're going to actually launch weapons. He said, well, you better start talking and, you know, talking about peace. And that's the problem I have with a lot of this is that there's this, you know, it's the attitude of, you know, it's a video game. It's okay for everyone to die, you know, or they're just dying over here. And you're like, no, there's actually like a lot of stuff being destroyed. And I think that the Ukrainian war being the first really pure peer army between the old Soviet and NATO equivalent. You're looking at it and like it's not. Stuff gets blown up pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, fucking drones. I mean, there's a great movie called, I think it's called Predator, and it had or maybe it was Drone or something like that. It's basically about a guy. This is like a real story. This guy, in New Mexico, he's a drone pilot, and he was doing shit for the CIA, and they're killing people, civilians and shit. And he I guess he went to Congress and all this shit. So it's a really good show. But it illustrates that just impersonal connection between them destroying people, and just sitting, drinking, eating a donut and then like Nerd was saying, it's that taking away the horror of taking life because you're just playing a fucking video game.
Well, that's the problem I think that we had for the last 30 years is most people weren't out there, and why don't you just become normal? I think it's kind of sad. When I came back from Afghanistan, I was just talking to a guy who needed a jump start, and I found out that he was a what is that? It's not a forward observer, whatever they call the air ground. He was one of the controllers for getting stuff out there. He just broke out. He just broke down crying because no one understood. He's just like, I said, look, dude, I saw the combat I saw in Afghanistan was playing Call of Duty. He says, it doesn't matter. You were there. And you're just like, I mean, there's the mental aspect to it that people forget about. And then here's the other part is, we talk about all this high tech stuff. You know what? We're only a couple of nuclear weapons from going back to sticks and stones. Yeah. I mean, all you have to do is hit a few of the satellites up in air, and now what? Now you're completely blind.
What did Einstein say? He said he wasn't sure what the weapons of World War III would be, but he knew the weapons of World War IV would be rocks and sticks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's but I mean, we are so reliant on GPS and everything like that. It's not that hard to blow those. If you can, blow those satellites out of the air, and even if we put stuff back up, the problem is you have that debris field, and I'm like, great. Now we can't spy on each other. It's going to be back to 1945 again for that with nuclear weapons.
I just, it's just easy to kill now. It's easier to kill than it ever has been.
Well, we say that, but again, the mortality rates are far, far lower, which is weird. I mean, even the 2 years of war that they've had on, the Ukrainian and the Russians, it's still lower than most of the other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go look at the Civil War, go look at the Hutus and the Tutsis. What weapons did they have? They had machetes. And part of it is because when you're shot, you don't know if you hit someone, depends on when you hit. But you know what? When you get up close and personal, if the guy's pretty much dead.
Yeah.
And
the only war I want to do is on the fucking tabletop. That's
exactly. That's I want to do that or on the computer. One of those two. And that's the way that it should be. It's what was the Beavis and Butthead? Oh no, it's only cool when it's on CNN. It's for war, but no, but people forget just on how much we rely. It's like, okay, what are you going to do if they suddenly cut the just the cable that carries communication between us, the internet cables and stuff between us and Europe? What do you think that's going to do to our financial system? That's going to crash it right there. And it's like, that's
we're getting into the prepping.
Well, that's even,
it's true. We're all dependent on each other. It's not going to take much for everything to spiral out of fucking control.
Well, some of it is, and I actually heard this from some guy who was in Washington D.C. for years. He said there is actual worries about what would happen in that, and that's why I think that's the problem that we have with our current administration. Is these people think it's the West Wing? Oh no, we'll just do this. And, you understand that these. The Soviets and now the Russians and the Chinese already have satellite killing missiles. Okay, we do that. Now well, we do too. But I mean, okay, so we take that out. How much, if there's a good size EMP, how much would that take out of the Western seaboard? If the North Korea, when they talk about nuclear weapons, it's really the EMP effect. It's like, okay, how much have we really hardened it? I know we've hardened it some, but it's not nearly hardened enough.
I mean,
for
maybe
electrical.
military, but like civilians, no fucking way.
Yeah, but
No.
here's the thing: is wars are based off logistics.
Yeah.
If you're, okay, what are you going to do? That's what people forget about. It's like, okay, now what are you going to do? The other part is, if your soldiers are overseas and now you have your families that aren't doing, do you think they're going to want to fight, or they're going to say, well, I'm going to go home to make sure my families are okay? This is the current reality for stuff. And I what you're really terrified by is like, okay, how far can these hypersonic missiles shoot from the Russians and the Chinese? Okay, great. They have a range of 4,000 miles. What does that mean? That means
Peas in our time.
it's what? Oh,
Peas in our time.
yeah. Well,
I'm not a fan of peas.
Well, how do you feel about peanuts?
Peanuts are cool.
Well, they're legumes. They're all legumes. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I just don't like the taste of peas.
I don't like the taste of peas either. That said, I've had some good lentil soup, but you have to.
Not a fan of lentils either.
Peas are
yeah, but when they're broken down a lot, it tastes pretty good. I don't like the texture of them. I used to spit out peas every time I found them. I was like, as a kid, like stop putting peas in my food. And then they're like, oh, we'll hide it, and then they just go, and then see this pea fly out. But yeah, people just don't understand that. It's like everything they think is going to be, kind of asymmetric warfare. These are near peer armies that we're trying to pick a fight with, and no one's going to win that. That's what gets me. No one wins nuclear war.
Yeah.
That's why we don't do it.
Well, that's why I hope we never do it. That's why I hope we've never done it.
It's like you guys were talking about on James's show, when you guys were playing Harpoon. I used to play Harpoon. Yeah. If you beat the shit out of the enemy too much, guess what? They're throwing nukes.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, how much do I want to really do this? It was, but
dude, I am not highlighting that, James. It's fine. I'm actually gonna have to shut the show down in about 9 minutes. We've been going at this for about 4 hours. It's been a lot of fun.
And I gotta go plant some more trees, and so that's why my son had to go to bed at 10. And now I'm
I got lucky. Somebody felled a tree in my neighborhood, which amounted to about 3/4 of a cord of wood, and
that's good.
It'll be good for next year. It's not. I can't do anything with it this year.
Did you ask, or did you just take?
No, I walked up and said, "Can I have it?" And they were more than happy to let me have it because they were going to try and put this tree through a wood chipper.
Ooh, no.
I know. I'm like, you guys realize you can't. No, I mean
that should be more work than
the stump. Not the stump, but the trunk was, roughly this big to a little bit bigger, and it was green. Just chopped. It wasn't going to be, and it's stupid. I mean, you're just going to grind it up into mulch, and then what?
Well, mulch is I mean, I bought a few things to mulch. I'm just trying to decide if I need to buy any more. I don't think so. I think I have enough for the moment.
Yeah, they filled up the back of the vehicle. That the chipper was hooked up to. They had plenty. I mean, I'm gonna keep my family warm with it, and
it's great though. It's great though if you want to get rid of a lot of stuff and help protect the tree trunks, which is what I'm trying to do.
They were just hired to chop the tree down and get rid of it. They were just going to dump it somewhere.
I know here in Temple, what they do is whenever the city cuts it down, is they take it and they mulch it, and then they will mix it in with the stuff from the sewer treatment plant. And so then people grab all of that as compost fertilizer. And, I was like, that's fine. I'll put that on the trees. After 2 years, by the time I actually get fruit, everything should be dead anyway. So, but put on your plants too, man. That's good.
I don't.
You don't have flowers?
No, everything here is fine. Got lots of roses and fruit trees, and I'm not planning anything new. I need firewood,
Well, yeah.
And I had some, but I didn't know how far that was going to last, and You know,
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna step out. I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Yeah, me
All right,
too.
I gotta do the
Night.
same.
I was getting at.
You guys keep
Everybody,
it weird.
thanks for showing up, nerds. Nice talking to you again. It's been a while. Omen, Brian, James, thank you guys for showing up. I will be doing this again next week.
Saturday.
Tomorrow, I'll see you two guys over at Bo's place for a game. Saturday, I will be doing a sci-fi chat. I don't know what we'll be doing it on. Sunday, I'm hanging out with
Ooh,
Tenkar and Tenkar's Tavern. The boy and I got invited to hang out for New Year's Eve, and so please come over.
Hey,
and
Shadow.
You'll-
He said of super weapons for the sci-fi game.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
The
Let me write
Star
that
Trek super weapon, that big old planet eater. That was
down.
awesome.
The Doomsday device, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that was awesome. All right, guys. Keep it weird.
All right,
Let me
see you
write
later.
that down because that's a great idea. I haven't done that one yet. Make sure you're there, Omen.
I'll try. You know, it's just well, I have my son, but we'll probably be working late, so hopefully we can get that all done. Well, we're going to stop whenever it gets dark anyway. But
Exactly. Crystalline Entity, yeah. Absolutely. That sounds like a fun one. Because I can think of a couple as well from mostly novels. But anyways, everybody, thanks. Al, thanks for hanging out again on both shows. Appreciate that. TCG, thanks for coming by. Mini Warmut, insert name here. Who else? Raven was here for a little bit.
let's see, we had James O, we had the Crafting Gamer, you had Mac, a Nerd's Nerd.
Of course,
Insert name here. Who else? Mini Warmut. Who else? So I keep going further and further back.
yeah, me too. I think that covers everybody. I'll find out later, and I don't know who that other person was trying to get into the show, but I'll tell you guys about that later on.
Cal Vanoni.
Oh yeah, of course, Cal was here, and you guys all have a great evening. If I don't see you for some reason, have a happy New Year. Be safe, guys, and I will talk to you most likely, I should say, tomorrow. So, night, everybody.
Right. Yes.
Night.
See y'all.
Take care. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Happy trails.